And we are live. Denton Day and Lynnell Willingham. We are not in Green Bay. They didn't have the budget for that, Lynnell, but you and I are big chilling out here in our Half Street studios. Day 2 of the NFL draft. This is a YouTube exclusive. You will not find this on radio. You get the Caps on 106.7. You get the Nationals on the Team 980. But if you want Commanders coverage, we're going to be hanging out, hopefully for multiple picks for the Commanders. Let me cross my fingers and cross my toes.
I was about to say, it feels like, bro, I was listening. Who did I listen to earlier? Was it I think it was Take Command podcast with Logan and Craig. And Logan said something like along the lines of, or Craig, I think, if you're already at 61, so you're really close to the third round already,
right?
Would you be able to, like, technically you're not going to get, you're not going to be able to give up what it would take to get 2 third-round picks, basically, tonight.
Right. More likely than not, unless you can start giving up players.
Well, that's when it could get interesting. And, like, there's one guy I feel like everyone wants to trade, it feels like.
There is one guy. That guy would be Jerron Payne. Yeah. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. By the way, we're fully interactive for the night. We're scheduled to go to 10. If we're popping off, we might go a little bit longer. Who knows? So we're active on YouTube. You're on Twitter as well, at the Team 980, at 106.7 The Fan. We got a chat on YouTube. We'll be answering some of your questions throughout the course of the night based on some of the things that we see happen. We got a lot of things outside of the Commanders, too, to discuss, Lynnell. What happens with Shador Sanders? Sure. What happens with everyone else in the division? I mean, Abdul Carter goes number 3 yesterday. He's going to be a bust. Sucks to see. Tyler Booker seems like a great kid. He's going to be a bust. Giad Campbell, he's going to be a bust. It just is how it is, right?
Yeah.
So we got a lot to discuss, but I do actually want to start with that because I got a tweet from a listener earlier today asking, do you think Washington could trade up to one of the higher picks in the second round? He said 33, but there's a litany of positions that you could move to. I think everyone's focusing on Jerron Payne, right? Everyone thinks, well, they got rid of John. Maybe they're going to get rid of Jerron Payne as well. I'm a little less on the trade Jerron Payne train than I think most people are. But I would point out they drafted Josh Connerly yesterday. You got a lot of guys on the offensive line. Do you need all of them? I know you want to keep as many as possible, but, like, think of it. Do you need Andrew Wiley if Andrew Wiley's not in long-term plans? Could he potentially get you a pick if you're going to move Brandon Coleman over to right guard in the absence of Sam Cosmi? You're going to play Connolly at right tackle, you get Alec Reddy next to Laramie Tunsil on the left side, and Biotis in the center. There might be some value for Andrew Wiley. It's not going to be a third-round pick.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That seems like it's a little rich, but I get the overall point.
But maybe like a 6th.
I get the overall point. Look at us trying to already damage the depth that we've just created on the offensive line. We need the picks. I get it, though, 100%. Like, defense, I feel like they got to walk away with something on defense here tonight. If they don't, I would understand it. Like, we were talking about it before we started the stream. I think it was Alex in Silver Spring called in to Kevin Sheehan earlier today.
Well, I was listening to that one.
On a rant about, like, why you shouldn't, trust the football people, basically is what he was saying. Like, we got to stop just acting as if, they're better than what they are.
Which, by the way, is, like, chronically stupid advice. But
yeah, like, I don't know. I didn't agree with it at all. Basically, what Alex was saying is, why does Adam Peters deserve the benefit of the doubt? Why do we always say the old adage of just trust the football people? Because that's what you should do. Is trust the football people. Here's where I think it stems from, Denton. We've talked about this before, right? I mean, you have the unique perspective of being younger folks in this business. For years, right, through multiple different regimes, we could genuinely look at the GMs and their decisions and go, yeah, I'm smarter than you probably. I can make better picks than you. But this group that we currently have in here, I think they deserve our undivided trust. And I think last year, based on the way they went through the draft, like, they earned it.
I think what it comes down to, I love the draft. You know this. I'm a college football guy. I love mock drafts. Everybody loves mock drafts. Mock drafts in our business are clicks, but it's also fun because you're trying to, like, get an idea. Everybody wants to be a general manager in the NFL. Yeah. Everybody thinks they can be a general manager in the NFL. I absolutely love the fact that Adam Peters is basically saying to hell with all your mock drafts.
Yeah.
I have a board, we have a board, and everyone seems to be in unison. Like, the click thing was kind of cute. It was, it kind of bordered like cute, but also being a little too gimmicky. But I kind of got it.
Yeah.
Everyone is on board. They're all in this lockstep together. I think that's how a great organization runs, because Lord knows it wasn't that long ago where you saw certain people a
Yeah.
part of this franchise that wanted one thing and other people wanted another thing, right? So the fact that everyone's in lock and step together, I think, is really, really crucial and
Yeah.
really important. And if, we all have our goats when it comes to mock drafters, right? Like you're Daniel Jeremiah guy.
Yes, love
I'm a
DJ.
Colonel
Yeah.
McShay guy. I
Okay.
love Todd McShay. I was talking to Darius. Darius likes Mel Kiper. By the way,
Okay.
Mel Kiper.
Mel was on one last night, boy.
That
was crazy, young. I was like, sheesh.
I hope that dude got an IV after the Jackson
Yeah,
Dart
bro.
because I thought his cranium was going to explode after New York took Jackson Dart. But you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
just because a certain mock drafter grades it a certain way, they don't work in the NFL. And remember, when mock drafters get hired to the NFL, like Mike Mayock,
That don't always work out.
we clowned him for 4 years because like this guy stinks.
It's interesting because DJ's last mock had a couple of the surprise fallouts of the first round in it. Will Johnson out of Michigan. I don't think anybody saw him falling out of round one.
That one coming.
And then the two edge rushers, Donovan Ezaraku and Mike Green. He did not have them in his he didn't have Ezaraku, I think, in his final mock draft. So it was interesting to see. Like, I feel like that last mock that you see from these guys is normally the one where you're most plugged in and you're getting all your little insider information and tidbits. But it's fascinating because for Washington in particular, this is a great spot to be in as a fan, right? I think we said it a couple of weeks ago when we did a show together. They don't have to force anything in this draft because of what they were able to do during free agency, raising the floor of the team and really allowing themselves to go best player available. So I'm going to keep harping on Alex in Silver Spring because he was on one and he made some valid points to where I love the way Kevin handled it too. And I can't wait till he joins us coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. The way he handled it, it was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Probably not right, but you do have a point. He ain't just shut him down completely. What Alex was basically trying to say is like he was calling poppycock on Connolly being the best player on their board. And I'm like, that's a tough slope to slide down, so to speak. And that goes back to what we were saying a moment ago. This isn't Scott McLuhan and Bruce Allen who was brushing their teeth with Budweisers in the morning, not really grinding the tape the right way. These are real legitimate football people in this building. So if they say Connolly was the best player on the board, the hell would I?
He was also basing that off of the fact that no one had, like the way that he used you as kind of the scapegoat for his argument didn't make a whole lot of sense, which was that you kind of liked Josh Simmons.
And that's just my preference.
Josh Simmons is a fine player, but you liking Josh Simmons didn't mean that Connolly wasn't top on their board.
Exactly.
Because it has nothing to do with it. PFF having Simmons ahead of Connolly didn't mean that they didn't like Connolly. I think that's also, I watched that whole Adam Peters press conference this morning. Okay. By the way, first pick of the second round is not Shedeur Sanders. It's Carson Schwessinger.
He's somebody that was linked to Washington a lot here at the end of the process.
He was viewed as probably the second best linebacker. I'm looking at Jalen Walker as an edge, but Jihad Campbell is a linebacker. Mm-hmm. So he was viewed as linebacker too by a lot of people. But I think this team, our team, really has some high hopes for Jordan McGee this upcoming year that I'm excited to see. So I don't know that they'll be drafting a linebacker today, tomorrow, whenever. But back to what I was trying to get to. Like he used you as saying like, oh, you liked Josh Simmons, so therefore the team is lying when they say Connolly is best on their board. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Like if Adam Peters says that he was top on our board, I think he's top on our board.
It goes back to what you were low key saying though about them being kind of gimmicky with the cliff note. Like they're just trying to make it seem like, yeah, we're in lockstep. They are though. I don't think they're faking anything, bro. Like
I love it.
Did you see I didn't know, first of all, Matt Ryan, Shane Battier, and some business dude have a podcast. Not Matt Ryan. Alex Smith, Shane Battier, and some random business dude have a podcast. Mm-hmm. Such a random trio. They had Dan Quinn on. You got to go back and watch this.
I might have to. I didn't see this.
Dan Quinn basically gave the sauce as to why everything is so peaches and roses over in Ashburn. Like they really focused on the people, him, going outside of the box in terms of like finding leadership resources with like working with the Navy and the Army and stuff like that. He is just the ultimate leader of people. And I think that relationship that he has with Adam Peters is why this thing is going to be a steady ship. Cross your fingers no matter what happens to the damn quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback makes it easier, but I trust their team building philosophy. I trust their roster building approach. Like I really do think they both have backgrounds of like, Jaden Higgins to Houston, nasty.
Damn,
that's nasty.
Damn, I thought Higgins was gonna fall.
That's nasty. But Like their team building philosophy, I dig it, man. Like they value the trenches. And that's what we're seeing, right? And think about it, Denton. Like after the NFC Championship game, what was the conversation? Damn, we got our ass kicked in the trenches. On the offensive line, on the defensive line, the edge rushers in particular. So it was like, I don't know. How can you be upset with them addressing the trenches? I get it. It's not on defense, but I mean, Connolly, it gives you a situation where like your offensive line can be set for the next 3-4 years, and that's long term in the NFL because nothing really is guaranteed in this league. So I love it, man, and it kicks Coleman back inside. The one thing I was sneaky saying as like a need that no one was really talking about was interior offensive line, like because Cosby's injury. I'm really not an Allegretti guy at all. I kind of thought he was a media darling, not really that good of a football player at times. So the depth behind him is not really good. He shouldn't be your starter. You should be looking to upgrade that position. They brought back Mike Dieter, who was fun.
Yeah, I mean, when he stepped in at center, you're like, oh, God.
It was very noticeable.
Like, please, no.
So they need some depth. We just had another trade, too.
Another trade. So we've had 2 picks made already. We're not going to end up going like super pick by pick with this, although we will let you know when Shore Sanders gets drafted. You had Carson Schlesinger going to Cleveland to start this round. Jaden Higgins just went to Houston. Those are the only 2 picks that have been made. But Seattle just traded, I believe, with Tennessee to get back up. So they're probably going to get somebody. Maybe it's Mike Green. Mike Green must suck. By the way,
he must be the worst dude on planet Earth, bro. That's how I was saying, man. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I mean, look, man, I was trying to be tongue in cheek a little bit on social media last night. I was having a little bit of fun, but like, if Howie Roseman said you're not good enough, you're too bad of a person, you must really be awful. Because that dude, he'll draft anybody as long as it makes them win. Like, so I don't know what's going on with old Mike Green.
Yeah, it's weird, and like the one thing when I dug a little bit deeper into him, something that made me prefer some of the other second-tier edges over him a little bit from a football standpoint. This year was kind of mediocre. Then, like last year was 4 sacks.
Right.
The year before that, he didn't do anything at UVA. In the last 2 years, there at Marshall.
That bothers me because you're playing it. Not that UVA and the ACC are high-level football, but they're better than Marshall, right? Like you look at the schedule that he played and didn't play a lot of really good teams. So you see big numbers in that regard, and you're like, all right, cool, but. We saw you against better players, and it was nothing. So I didn't love that. Sheen's going to be jumping on with us here in the next couple of moments. So you liked the pick yesterday?
I liked it because it felt like it was crazy. I did a mock draft with Craig the first hour of his show, and we did have a brief conversation about tackle. And I said it wouldn't be that big of a surprise because I think adding a tackle fixes your interior offensive line depth because, like I continue to say, from the moment they were trying to act like Brandon Coleman was going to play right tackle, like he would have the same issues on the right side that he had at the left. So if you're going to move him from left tackle, like why not? If you know what I'm saying, why not just kick him inside? Because clearly him being on the island is the problem.
You know what excites the hell out of me?
What's that?
I pity the linebacker, safety, maybe the unlucky corner.
Yeah.
That's going to think they see a hole on that defense only to get met by a pulling Brandon Coleman and get absolutely decapitated. Like that to me is where he feels like he's going to be at his best. You just get this athletic freak. They drafted him because of the RAS score that everybody raves about now. You get this athletic freak, and he's just going to be decapitating defenders. Like that is really, really exciting to me.
And that's the other part too. Like all of a sudden, think about what the conversation was going into camp last year. What was our biggest concern? It wasn't even the defense. We were talking about the offensive line depth.
Right.
They were an injury or 2 away from, offense like Chris Paul having to play significant snaps. And we know that's somebody that's more of like a developmental piece, not somebody that's ready to help you right now. So you go from that in a damn near a year time, Denton. Now this is one of the strengths of your football team.
Right.
Like it has the opportunity to be one of the most athletic groups in the NFL. And I think it's perfect. And I think you tweeted it last night as well when Abdul Carter got plucked off the board early. Yeah, does this influence what you do later in the draft? You got to beef up your offensive line because you're in a division with 3 of the best front 4s in the NFL. Dallas, I kind of may have gassed it.
But you got Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
like that's who you're worried about.
So, but like, New York got depth. New York's defense is low-key, like sneaky, nasty from a talent standpoint. Why Javon Holland chose to go there, I don't know. But he makes them a lot better. You now have a trio of pass rushers with Thibodeau, Burns, and Carter. You still got Sexy Dexy on the interior. Posting the depot really clamps people. So their defense is going to be interesting. And it's weird because it felt like when we played the Giants, we struggled scoring points against them. Even last year, I thought it was a Sam Howell thing. Remember those 2 ugly-ass games that we played with?
Oh, my God. When Wink Martindale just blitzed his ass off.
Exactly. Like, so even last year when we first played them the first 2 times, it felt like the offense was slow to get going. So their defense has always been a problem for us. It's going to be interesting, though. I think Connolly's a good pick. I just hope – this is one thing I wanted to toss around, too, and maybe if y'all want to get active in the comments, this is something we can be interactive with. It's early, and we saw how they treated Jaden Daniels last year, right? Would you frown at the pick if he doesn't, become your day one starting right tackle?
No, I think you've given yourself the luxury of having a bunch of dudes that can kind of fill in there. Like you already have Wiley. Do I want
worst comes to worst?
Yeah, like you already have Wiley. Do I want to see Wiley play all 17 games? Not at all.
Yeah.
But if he ends up starting a game or two as Connerly gets adjusted, now the nice thing about him was he played at Oregon.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be okay in terms of making that adjustment to the NFL because he played high level talent on a regular basis. But I'm not losing sleep over the idea of the 29th overall pick not being your day one starter. You made a face. Is Seattle about to take Shador?
No, they took Judkins. I mean, they took Nick Eamon-Worry. And then the Browns took Quinshon Judkins over Henderson.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. The Browns.
It's getting wild. Passed on
Ashton Genty. Passed on then selling that pick for Ashton Genty.
Yes.
To that, I like Quinshon Judkins, but there's a gap between those two guys.
For sure. Yeah, that's interesting is what I would say.
It feels like Seattle, by the way, is trying to start the process of rebuilding somewhat of a LOB.
Mm-hmm.
Even Worry, I love the guy that came out of Illinois, Devon Weatherspoon, a couple years ago. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job building back up. It's just their quarterback sucks. Sam Darnold's not good. Like
I don't know what they were kind of thinking with that. I would have rather than been in the quarterback market in this draft, got them like a runner. I thought Mike McDonald would want like a Jalen Milroe type of quarterback because you saw what you was able to do with Lamar up close in person in Baltimore and like how difficult that is to scheme and prepare for every week.
So Eamon-Worry and Quinshon Judkins, ESPN is so slow. Like we're watching the ESPN broadcast. Do you watch ESPN or NFL Network?
For the draft, I normally go NFL Network. I like their panel better. I'm a big Joel Klatt stan. I think Joel, he's somebody that just focuses on college. You don't ever see Joel on NFL Network until his draft season.
Draft time.
He's a college football guru, so I really like him. And then, I'm a DJ sucker.
All right, so let me ask you a question. I'm going to give you 4 slots. I want you to build your go-to draft panel with 4 slots. You can cross over. If you're active in the comments, get active in the comments. You get 1 host. You get 3 analysts. If you want to add a sideline person, you can do that too. So I'll give you 5 slots. Actually, I'll give you 3 analysts, a host, and sidelines, and then you can kind of mix and match. I was like kicking this around. Maybe this is just a dorky thing that only we care about because we're in the business.
You see how I perked up when you asked the question.
But that's one of those things where I was kicking it around because who I absolutely love on a draft is Saban. I think Saban is sensational. The problem is they bury him on like the college game day side of the draft. So like you're there with like Desmond and Kirk and Reese, and those guys are all great. But I would love Saban and Louis Riddick on the desk together because Louis Riddick can talk about how they go to the NFL, and Saban had a story for everybody.
I know.
I mean, it's like
last year was amazing, bro.
I had pizza with this guy's grandmother on a Tuesday in 2017. You're like, what?
That's great. I can't believe the Browns went Judkins, bro. That's nuts. Well, you know what annoyed the hell out of me last night? Normally they save this bit for like day 2 and day 3. Why were the picks? Why were they doing guest celebrity picks in round 1?
I hate celebrity picks.
In round 1 is egregious. And that's the wildest thing.
Egregious. With that said, Seth Rollins is making a pick tonight for the Bears, so I'm like excited to see him. But I'm done with celebrity picks.
Yeah,
I mean, the damn guy from Green Bay took like 3 minutes up there just shouting out the city. Buddy, I get it. We're in like Green Bay is sick. You can do that with like your Greenberg. Yeah. I don't need Mark Murphy.
I felt like everybody was crapping on Green Bay being the location too. It was weird. Toby was talking about that. He was like, no one appreciates Milwaukee.
I get it. I like that. That'll look good.
I get it.
I'm not there. Like I'm
just because I know our guy is watching the stream somewhere at some point.
We're not partying in Green Bay. Like I know there are some of the guys that there's not much to do.
Yeah, I know your personnel. You don't go to Green Bay to try to party.
No, you go for the rich history of the NFL.
Yeah.
And cheese.
Eat some good food.
Get some cheese curds in there, like a nice Wisconsin, cheese curd.
So you follow college way closer than I do. What is Judkins? Like, what's your comp for Judkins?
That's a really tough question. That's a fascinating question, honestly, because at Ole Miss, it felt like he was a legit 3-down back. And then he goes to Ohio State and you play with Travion Henderson, which is a guy that we're going to keep an eye on because I think if Travion Henderson's there at 61, as much as I want to get better on defense, if he's there at 61, I think Washington takes him at 61. But I think Quinshon Judkins, I think he's a really, really good player. But this year was really tough because he was splitting carries.
So you didn't get to see him do the full 3-down workload,
full everything. And at Ole Miss,
that,
that Ole Miss offense is very unique into some of the things that they do. But I think he can be a really good player. I don't know that he's going to be he's not Bijan, if that's what you're wondering. He's not like a.
Glad you brought him up.
Or
he had us sweating at times watching ball during that Falcons game, bro.
Exactly.
Was cooking us.
He's cooking. I think he might be maybe a little bit more similar in terms of production in the NFL to not style, but something of a Najee Harris.
Okay.
Whereas
he'll get you 1,000, 30,000 every year. Yeah.
Right, but he's not going to be this. He's not.
He looks like Jahmyr Gibbs. I can't even lie in the face. That's
right. But I think Travion Henderson feels like his ceiling is much more in the direction of some of those guys that cooked this defense this past year.
How do you think the NFL evaluators look at a guy like Travion, who was like a full-year starter pretty much?
I think they love his leadership.
Do you worry about tread on tires and wear and tear?
No, I think splitting time with Judkins helped him tremendously because you're you're not getting the Ashton Jetty 400 carries or what have you. The Raiders, another trade in the NFL drafts.
They traded to Miami.
Is Miami wants your door?
Chop Robinson's brother last night tweeted that the Dolphins GM is some poop emoji.
Yeah, your brother's got to stay off social media. Has there ever been a brother in the history of the NFL that did something good on social media?
You know what I'm saying? It never doesn't end well.
I mean, Miles was it Michael Parsons? His brother was taking shots at Dak.
Yeah, he's
are you serious, bro? Can we chill a little bit?
So 37 and 43 to Miami for 48, 98, and 135 to the Raiders. That's not bad. That's a nice haul. Real quick, on my host for the draft, probably Rich Eisen. I'm a Rich Eisen guy.
Rich was mine. I'm a Rich Eisen mark.
Yeah, I think that would be my host. My one of my analysts for sure is Saban, like you said. Lou Riddick, Daniel Jeremiah, and between Klatt and Charles Davis and Bucky. Klatt, Charles Davis, and Bucky would be fighting for a spot.
I would definitely put McShay in mine. I thought Molly McGrath and Laura Rutledge did a great job last night. Laura Rutledge, I was cycling between all the broadcasts. Laura Rutledge was on family duty, which I mean, mom and dad are happy, obviously, but you're what are you really getting from mom or dad in that standpoint? Whereas with player, you're getting a lot there. Tyler Booker was I just moved to Dallas.
Right.
I love training there. I had no idea. That's a cool little tidbit there.
Yeah.
So I thought those two did a great job.
Could you imagine? I don't know if you've seen the shtick on social media where they say Kay Adams can talk a draft board off of a GM.
That is true.
Having her in this situation.
Kay Adams and Taylor Rooks will have.
Oh my goodness!
Exposing the deepest dark.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Taylor Rooks too, bro. That was crazy.
I have never seen anyone frown while they interview with Kay Adams.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I saw her in New Orleans, right? They had this big, massive setup, right? And they're cycling in a bunch of players. And by the way, I think you and I talked about this. Mm-hmm. There was a tier level of superstar at the Super Bowl. So Joe Burrow walks in and he was the biggest star immediately. Everyone's looking, oh my God, that's Joe Burrow.
Oh my gosh, it's Joe! I know you were geeked up to see Joe Burrow. I know.
Stephen A. Smith was there. Stephen A. Smith had the biggest entourage. He had 80 people.
I hope he didn't do one of those dramatic ass walks.
He did do one of those dramatic ass walks. And he walked down the middle. So the way the setup was, most of the superstars stayed on the outside, so they're not getting touched by random people or come up to by random people. The third biggest superstar was Jane Daniels. Everybody loved Jane Daniels, and he went to all these spots, and there was his entourage. Obviously, his mom was there, kind of safe a little bit. But
did you say obviously his mom was there? Shocker.
Yeah. I met her. She's very nice.
Oh, she probably.
I know she gets clowned on socials.
I'm having a good time.
But she's very, very kind. We met Jaden for 45 seconds on a red carpet, and he was great. He would have talked to us more, but he was they were doing this red carpet thing with this. it was like a gospel award ceremony or something. So it seemed pretty cool, but we only got like 45 seconds with him. But his mom was very nice. Anyway, that the Kay Adams thing kind of put me down the road because I saw Kay Adams in person, and I was like, I get it. I was like, I don't know that I would be sharing my deepest darkest secrets, but like I understand why guys might do that.
You know what's crazy though? I'll be real. Since you kind of already took me down that road, she was at camp last year.
She was
underwhelming.
Really
underwhelming. Yeah, completely underwhelming. If I'm being honest with you, like underwhelming.
Yeah, I bet she had that big setup too.
Oh yeah, of course. She had they gave her a whole tent, so it was a whole thing. But as far as where Washington ultimately goes here tonight, I think throughout the first couple of picks, and I think we'll like you said, we'll keep you all up to speed with how the picks roll because it can impact who Washington's going to select. Them not going edge, like let's just be honest and transparent here, right? I've been saying the whole process. If Azaraku was there at 29, you turn the damn card in. You sprint to the podium. So for them to take a tackle last night, I think it shows maybe there is more of an affinity for that second tier of edges in this class, like your David Walker from Central Arkansas, your Oladejo from UCLA,
Landon Jackson, Arkansas. Everybody loves him on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Logan with Craig on the Take a Man. I thought he made a really good point. There's not like a massive now. Granted, Washington picked 61, so maybe isn't that great of a point, but there's not a massive gap between some of the guys that you might have 5 and 50 on your board. So like hopefully some of those guys that enter in the 50 drop to 61.
Right.
But the idea that you have a bunch of dudes that'll be available in the second, third, and fourth round that you can immediately turn to, maybe not being starters necessarily, but guys that can make a big impact early on in the
harp on that. Don't these picks? That's my one thing too, Denton. Your first and second round pick, you're supposed to come in and be able to contribute immediately.
Right?
That's just my rule of thumb with it. And I'm not trying to, act as if I'm, holier than thou, no more than the evaluator, because I always say we're at the mercy of these. I have expectations. We all have like things that we, adages that we go by as like people that follow the draft and things like that. One of my rules of thumb is don't take them in first round or second round if you're not going to play them.
Right.
What's the point? Especially here.
So I have a task for you.
Okay.
You got to go get some headphones.
Yes,
Kevin Sheen is here, so we're going to bring Kevin Sheen up on
Kevin's
stage.
on. Is that why I got small like that?
Yeah, that is why. I don't know why I am.
Kevin, look how he did this. He put us on a little ass.
We're going to put Kevin in the big screen. But Kevin Sheen is with us. Kevin Sheen.
You don't need to put me on the big screen. Put me on the small screen.
He's got to figure something out.
But
I'll be right back. I'm about to blow my nose.
I'm new here. I'm running this ship here, Kevin. First of all, how are you? It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
We haven't seen each other in a while.
In a while.
What type of headphones? I need to hear about your honeymoon.
It was fantastic. You can't see right now because of the lighting, but my skin is looking radiant, honestly. I mean, the weather there was fantastic.
It always does. By the way, the Caps are playing right now.
We have them on one of the screens in here for our little live stream. They're on 106.7 The Fan. So I want to get your take on this, the pick for Connolly to start. I was listening to the show this morning. I was listening to your back and forth that went like semi-viral about the guy that thought Josh Simmons was better. So obviously Adam Peters sucks. But what do you think about Connolly?
I mean, I'm happy with it. I mean, I think the fact that and if you take him at his word, that they got offers to trade back for, a pick or picks, and they didn't do that with 5 picks in the draft and in a lot of needs. They love the player. These are the toughest positions for us to evaluate, but I had Cooley on the podcast. He did a film breakdown. He said, super athletic. He loves him. The one thing is that he's not super strong. He does get pushed around a little bit, but he can improve that. But he said he's absolutely a first-round tackle on an NFL team. Loved everything about his athleticism, his speed, his ability in pass pro, especially with speed rushers, the ability to mirror, rushers. Loved the performance against Abdul Carter in the Big Ten title game. He loved him. The team loves him. I didn't think about him because pure left tackle, but he's going to play right tackle, and investing in offensive line, I don't know how you have a major problem with that when the prize possession in town is the quarterback.
You got the savior. Might as well protect him.
Yeah.
Can I play Alex in Silver Spring for a second? Can I pretend to be him for a hot second? Because I thought, first of all, I love the way you handled the back and forth. But I thought his
wait,
point,
what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about from earlier today. The caller earlier today that you were going back and forth with about the pick. I'm going to play devil's advocate for what he was saying for a second. Do I need to like unmute something? Is that what?
No, you're good.
Okay, bet. So throughout this whole process, if you would have told me at 29, knowing the needed edge, they were going to pass on the defensive ends that were there, I would have kind of looked at you funny. When they decided to go tackle, ironically enough, like 2 minutes before the pick came in, I was thinking about all possibilities. I feel like everything should have been on the table outside of like quarterback, obviously. And when Josh Simmons is sliding, you both know how good he is. If the medicals would have checked out with him, he's OT1 in the class, ahead of Will Campbell. So when they chose to pass on him at tackle, when they were choosing to go tackle, I was like, they must love Josh Connerly. Obviously, you don't have the medical issues with him, but like for them to pass on the edges, like, what does that mean to you? Because I'm looking at it like, do they love the second tier guys?
Well, I mean, there are several things it can mean. Number one is that this was an offensive line draft that was, heavy at the top, thin behind it. Edge-wise, there's plenty tonight and even tomorrow. Same with backs, same with receivers, same with corners to a lesser extent. But that's not why you take a Connerly Jr. there. You take him because he's the best player on your board. And that's what, Travion Henderson.
I'm looking at like son of a bitch.
Damn, you didn't think he was going to make it to 61, did you?
I had a hope and a prayer.
Why did Judkins go ahead of him? We were tossing that around.
At Rascore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. The idea that the O-line position was thin behind what went in the first round. And that edge in other positions are deep, but there's also this distinct possibility, and I'm going to take him at his word, that he was the best player on the board. And the fact that you don't trade back if you legitimately got offers says they really like the player. Now, I do think it's interesting just to consider, was there a player taken before 29 that would have rivaled Connerly Jr. at 29? Like, I don't think Hampton would have. I don't think Jahdae Barron would have, although I liked the player because I thought he would fall a little bit more and maybe be the best player available on the board. I don't think Ibuka would have. I definitely don't think Shamar Stewart would have, and I don't think he was going to fall. Pierce Jr., I would bet that he may have been off their
wanted him.
board.
I was listening to Adam Peters' press conference, and it sounded like he said there was 3 guys.
Yeah,
it was Connerly and 2 others. He obviously didn't name the 2 others, but it felt like there were 2 other guys that had they have been there, it might have been a little bit more of a conversation.
Okay, so here are the guesses. Golden.
Yeah.
And maybe Donovan Jackson.
Yeah, because he can play guard and tackle.
Yeah.
He's good at both.
I don't know any. I mean, obviously not counting, Abdul Carter and, Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Right. So we got 61. They got 61. Sorry, Donna. They got 61. Are you like have to go defense, or are you with Adam P just follow your board?
Yeah, follow the board. I mean, I hope it's defense.
Right. I'm Joe Witt at some point, man. I'm like, God damn, can we get somebody?
Yeah. There are players that I hope it will be. Like, right now, what have we had go at edge?
Nothing. So we had the linebacker from UCLA.
I have a take on that. I have a take on the edge rusher position too. I think they're higher on their group internally than what the media is in terms of like their edge rusher spot. I think they really like Dorrance Armstrong. He was one of the guys that got a multi-year contract last year. I think Javonte Jean-Baptiste is a legitimate guy for them.
Yep.
So I think they like their edge group.
I think they like Wise. I think they like Kinlaw, his versatility. Yes, I agree with that. Now, with that said, who's going to generate 10.5 sacks? Is it Armstrong? I mean, he had a really good postseason.
Yeah.
That's where you would think that an Ezeraku, as just a pure pass rusher at 248 pounds, might be the Fowler Jr. equivalent for a lot less money.
Y'all probably know more about Schlesinger than I do. They were linked to him if they were to get a linebacker, we had talked about this before, Kevin, I think, freeing up Luvu, would you put Luvu in that pass rushing situation?
I don't know.
I think he's better as a blitzer than a pure pass rusher, I think. But
kind of move him around as a pass rusher anyway. They'll get him to where they want to get him. And I bet we'll see more of that this year. But if you're talking about a hand in the dirt 4-3 defensive end on passing situations, I don't think so.
No, I don't think he's that. I also like him kind of roaming a little bit. I thought some of the plays that he made in certain games down the stretch of the season, like they were first halves that he just took over. So I liked him having that versatility. We won't keep you too much longer here, Kevin, but we got to get your thoughts on the Shedeur Sanders stuff. Like, well, I mean, I'm not stunned that he didn't go in the first round. I was a little stunned the Giants took Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. Really? But I mean, what did you think of the way that he's dropped?
You and I have been talking about him forever. Neither one of us thought he was that good. You know,
he was quarterback 2 for me, but I didn't think he was going to go first round.
I just didn't think he was. I didn't think he was a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think he will be. So the first round doesn't surprise me, but I do like Cam Ward. Like, I was a legit Cam Ward fan, and every other quarterback, including Dart, I don't really love. There was somebody though that
I feel like Jalen Milroe's rushing ability is like the best trait.
If you want to, I'm totally with you on that. If you're gonna go that route,
Chicago just drafted Luther Burden III. They are loading themselves with offensive guys.
Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, DJ Moore,
Roma Dunze.
Which
one of those wide receivers do you think can throw?
Komet's still in there.
Yeah, Cole Komet. Damn, they got Luther Burden, bro.
Yeah, I love Luther Burden.
The Bears have knocked the offseason out of the park. For all the like dysfunction last year with the coaching staff, they've come in here, Ben Johnson and company. And I credit to Ryan Poles because he's the one pushing the buttons, but their offense is nasty.
Yeah, they're going to be really, really good. All right, Kevin, gut pick. Do you think that they go defense 61? Gut feel. I'm not going to make you force a player because we're 20 some odd picks away from it. That'd be impossible. But do you think they end up going defense at 61, or do you think they trade back?
I think it's going to be an edge at this point with no edges they're going to have their choice. Like if we keep going at this rate in the second round, I think it's going to be defense. I think you can get the running back. I think the running backs from here on out are almost equal, and they're going to be able to get a guy that they can legitimately consider as their first down back week 1 tomorrow. I think they can. There's just so much out there.
There's so many deep running backs. I don't think the kid from Iowa is going to be around, Brian Robinson 2.0, but there's so many.
He's better than Brian. Caleb Johnson
he got some speed on him.
He has speed on him. The style of running is very similar.
The problem is he's such a great zone runner, and we don't run,
like a gap. Gap power.
I like who I like. I like Martinez. I mean,
you've been on him the whole process. What about Martinez do you like?
There's just so much of kind of a Le'Veon Bell patience to him. Not that he stops in the backfield like Le'Veon Bell used to. Literally, he would stop, come to a complete stop. I think he's got the best vision of any of the bigger backs that can be first, second down backs. I think he catches it well enough. I just think he's got the best feet and the best vision inside the tackles, and he runs people over. I mean, I don't know anything about him, the whole thing. What are you making that face for?
Tyler Shuck just went to New Orleans.
Oh my God. This is not a great day to be Shedeur Sanders. We had heard a rumor. I was talking with some of the guys earlier about the potential of Tyler Shuck going ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
I don't
think Tyler Shuck is better than Shedeur Sanders.
I'm about to say, now we're getting a little crazy talking about putting Shuck in front of him. Like, come on.
Well, Shuck looks the part more. He's 6'5". He's just 38 years old already.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, he's filing for Social Security.
You know what sucks?
But I don't think that should matter at that position at all.
Yeah. I hate how Shedeur has none of Deion's traits and genes.
He has none of the
biggest spots. I mean, the biggest games, he just came up small.
It should have been a playoff, honestly. Or at least the Big 12 championship game, and they just that Kansas loss is indescribable. It was terrible. Real quick, Kevin, are you going to check on your? I know we were talking about our draft goats. Lynnell's a Daniel Jeremiah guy. I'm a Todd McShay guy. I never Mel Kiper guy. Are you going to check on him with the Shador falling? Because Mel Kiper's a big Shador guy.
I was watching last night. I saw that he got criticized last night. I actually thought it provided a ton of entertainment. I mean, quarterbacks are what people care about. He's the biggest advocate for Shador Sanders of anybody. And he went overboard to a certain extent, but that's always been Mel. Like, that's what he does.
Jimmy Clausen.
That's what he does. And he is the most well-liked person in sports broadcasting by the people who have been around him.
He seems like a very nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin, appreciate it. If you're hitting, I'm assuming you're going golfing tomorrow, so enjoy the sunshine out there.
Hit a wall, man.
I don't know what it's going to be like tomorrow, but I think I am going to try to play golf. We need to get hook up and get together, and I need to hear about everything that went on the last few weeks. Which was lovely.
Yeah. People don't know. Kevin was at the wedding. He and my dad talked about ACC basketball for like 20 minutes.
We did. Your parents were awesome. All right, boys. Be good.
All right, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. So this is actually like going really well for us because the quarterbacks are going, the receivers are going. If you're a fan of the edge rusher,
if you want defense, this has been a really good first 45 minutes for Washington. I think we should do a little bit of a recap, Lynnell, just because a couple of picks did take place when we were with Kevin. I do also just want to update anybody. Washington, the Capitals up 1-0 over Montreal. So we're focusing a little bit on them, not a lot of it, but we're all caps in these studios. You can see kind of the goal score prop up there behind Lynnell. So some of the picks that have already taken place in round number 2, the linebacker from UCLA go 33 to Cleveland. Jaden Higgins went to Houston. Nick Manwari went to Seattle with a third pick in the second round at 35. Judkins went to Cleveland, so they passed up on Genty. They picked Judkins in the second round. You got a guard that went to Miami. The guard out of Arizona, they trade up for him. Travion Henderson went to New England. So Drake May got a left tackle, and he got a big-time playmaker out of the backfield. We just talked about Luther Burden to Chicago, Tyler Shuck to New Orleans, and now Chicago is on the clock again.
That's Buffalo. So they just traded that to Buffalo. Okay. Yeah. So Chicago's now recouping more assets. They still have 5 picks left, and they're getting more.
Buffalo better draft somebody for offense because they can't keep doing the 2 tight end thing.
Yeah.
Which is good for Washington. I want all of these teams to trade up here and go for wide receivers or go for running backs or tight ends. I mean, Buffalo has enough tight ends, so they won't go for tight ends. But you get what I'm saying. Like, I want to see these guys come up here and get a bunch of offensive guys. So
there's going to be a corner here maybe too. Well, they went Harrison last night, so they probably won't go corner again.
By the way, that kid seems like the greatest human being.
You know,
the guy that was dapping up everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching a montage of that. I woke up from a nap. At like 3 o'clock, I was, watching a montage of that. I got to wake up so early now again, dude. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I was watching this Maxwell Harrison montage. I was like, this guy might be like my favorite player.
I'm sorry, Denton. This is ridiculous. How the hell are you watching college football and saying that guy is better than Shador? Am I missing it?
So I would not have drafted Tyler Shuck above Shador Sanders. I would not.
Like, come on.
Shador was quarterback 2 for me. I did not think he was going to go in the first round. I think there's this weird like cocktail of things, right? In that if you look across the NFL, almost everybody, whether you agree with it or not, almost everybody has a plan at quarterback. I think there's some plans that suck. I think Indianapolis's plan sucks.
Yes.
I think, all due respect, I think like the Minnesota plan is not very good right now. Cleveland's plan is not very good right now. Like, there are a lot of plans that I can point to and say this plan sucks, but there's a lot of guys and a lot of teams that have a plan. The problem with Shador Sanders is that I don't know that he didn't have anything, any elite trait, and I don't know that he's worth blowing up a plan if you're an NFL team.
What the hell is New Orleans playing? Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler?
New Orleans, I would have drafted Shador Sanders.
And I thought Kellen being a guy that Kellen is Shador in terms of what Kellen was at Boise State.
The Shador thing has become so clouded with nonsense too about like narratives and things. Like, I promise you, being Deion Sanders' son is not baggage. There are a lot of NFL teams that have drafted guys with way worse things on their resume. So, like, I don't, unless his interview process was the worst thing that we have ever seen, like he's just going in there and flipping the double bird to everybody. I'm a little stunned with the way that he's falling now, because now this is a free fall. Thank God he's not there. Honestly, could you imagine if he was in the green room?
Oh my
God, it'd be insufferable. We'd be able to count the pores on his skin. They'd have the camera on him. So
that's crazy. So,
I mean, Shuss played for like 4 teams in college. He was, you want a crazy stat about him that's really going to like drive the nail home about how old he was? He backed up Justin Herbert at Oregon.
That's ridiculous.
Justin Herbert's honestly starting his second contract in the NFL.
The age with Shuck, maybe the thing that I like, I guess, is that he's been around, he's seasoned, similarly to what we saw with Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix last year, Bo Nix as well, guys that have been around the block and played before. We've seen them over the past couple of drafts come in and have immediate success. He looks like Trevor Sikkema.
He does look like Trevor
I thought that was Trevor Sikkema. I'm about to say, what are they doing, a collab?
He does, yeah. I mean, I got to see what his hair looks like. They're spending more time interviewing Tyler Shuck than I did Kim Ward yesterday.
I may have to tweet at.
I did not think, by the way. I thought I was watching ESPN's broadcast. I did not love the way that they handled the number 1 overall pick.
Dude,
it felt like they just Kim Ward, see ya, bye. Oh, that's stuff.
Because we knew that's what it was going to be. But now I feel like I'm like dunking on him. His suit sucked.
It was kind of boring. Who was the best dressed yesterday? I was doing the gambling show that I now work on. I don't work with Kevin anymore, unfortunately, but I was doing the gambling show that I now work on, and one of the hosts said that they did not love the Travis Hunter bit. And I was
like, Black is like standard.
Okay, what are you, anti-Bret Hart? Like, what's going on here? I mean,
right.
The Hitman. I'm more of a Shawn Michaels guy personally, but I like the Bret Hart look.
But Pink and Black is like.
He had Genty with the diamond encrusted Crocs. Thought that was sick.
That was annoying.
And that's more up my aisle than it is yours.
Well, you love Crocs, though, so I get that. It was just like
I might be moving away from Crocs, to be honest.
Ooh, Buffalo went TJ Sanders from South Carolina, their defensive tackle.
So okay, defense. So yeah, that's one of the. It's been a while since we've had defense go. So like TJ Sanders and then. Carson, what's his name from UCLA, all the edge guys are still available, which I would just like to hammer this home again. Mike Green must suck. Like, he must be an awful person, because we are like, he was like 11 in most people's mock drafts. And now I would say 41 is still early second round, but like we're approaching mid second round. And this guy that's uber talented is not getting sniffed around. And Will Johnson's knee must be torn to shreds.
Yeah, so apparently it's like the knee, it's a hip, so it's multiple things with Will Johnson. But
Tua Tagovailoa of cornerbacks, apparently.
Does New York, do the Jets, can they afford to take a flyer on Shedeur?
I don't see why not. Do they want to is the question. They just graduated from the Aaron Rodgers experience, and whether you agree with it or not, whether it's fair or not, Shedeur is going to bring some level of.
Yeah, I thought he was built for New York, though. Of all the quarterbacks, that's why Jackson Dart. Somebody was going off last night. It was Greg Giannotti I was listening to this morning, bro. They went off on the Jackson Dart pick. He's a hand clapper from Utah. He's not ready for the Big Apple.
I hate the hand clap in college. Like, you got to.
What's your snap count?
Like, you got to get guys yelling at the line of scrimmage. The hand clap thing is tough.
So another, and this has been like my conspiracy theorist type of thing, because I think the 49ers would be dumb as hell to pay Brock Purdy. What if they take Shedeur and like put the pressure on Brock, saying, "Hey, you play well, we'll pay you." Because they got the tag at their disposal the next 2 years as well.
There was a contention of people apparently in the organization last year that thought they could have had that success with Sam Darnold. And it's not that they hated Brock Purdy, but they were just like, it's not like we're asking him to do a ton. I mean, I still am a proponent for Kyle Shanahan. I know there's a lot of people that have soured on him at least a little bit, just because there's not a lot of success in terms of rings. But I'm a proponent of Kyle Shanahan. I think he's a really smart offensive mind. I think as you get deeper into the draft, like you do come with this as far as Shedeur is concerned, maybe a little bit of comfort knowing that you're now not going to come in and be tasked to be the day one starter. If you get drafted in the second or third round. It's like the
third round. He's a third round quarterback.
I don't think so, but clearly people in the NFL might. And honestly, that's when Pittsburgh picks again. If he's available in the third round, he's going to Pittsburgh.
That would make
And
him
honestly,
look like genius.
I would want that if I was him. Like
Yeah.
at this point, I'm almost begging, don't draft me. Like let either Pittsburgh got to come up to get me, or like I want to go to Pittsburgh. Play with DK Metcalf, maybe not George Pickens. George
wow.
Pickens going to be slap boxing.
I got to stop looking at my phone. I'm about to turn my thing on D&D. They're leaking picks too hard.
Well, you can link picks as long as like this ain't the first round.
Yeah. So Texans and Niners made a deal. Mason Taylor's a Jet. Mason Taylor's a Jet.
That's actually a really good pick, though. I like Mason Taylor a lot.
Yeah, get Justin Fields a tight end. I'm curious to see how they look, but I want to go back to what happened earlier for a hot second. Dude, the Patriots they may win. They're not worse the first, but they may be the Commanders next year. Like they have a nasty team to me, and I just think Mike Vrabel raises everybody's ability and gets the best out of everybody. Like, they don't have a wide receiver unless Stephon Diggs, who looks great on social media.
I still think that they might land AJ Brown. That's been my hot take for the entire offseason, that somehow New England is going to land AJ Brown. I definitely think it took a little bit of a hit between now and yesterday, because the first round is like, it feels like that's when that would have happened. I don't think that Philadelphia really wants to deal with him. And I think Howie Roseman is the kind of guy that tries to get ahead of it rather than being stuck with it.
They go wide receiver here tonight. That may lend itself.
And honestly,
they might.
Yeah, get him out. Get him doing it.
Yeah, right.
I'll pick him up. I've never driven to Boston. I'll help him. I will get him in the car. I got my Uber Black situation going on there. I'll give him nice leg room. I'll provide snacks. Like I will get anything I got to do to get AJ Brown the hell out of Philadelphia. I will get him the hell out of Philadelphia.
People are Eagles fans are all salty because I think he got a Brady or Edelman jersey or a Brady jersey in the mail. He's apparently like a big Patriots fan, or was growing up.
Eagles fans, but like, take it. I got a lot of Giants fans and Eagles fans in my mention for a tweet that I put out yesterday.
Man, the Giants are idiots. I mean, what the hell they're doing is the stupidest thing ever. I'll never forget what you said to me before the NFL season wasn't even over yet. And I was like, this is when Jackson Dart whispers first started to happen. I was like, hey, Dan, man, Jackson Dart, bro, he may be. Just seeing what you would say, because I wanted to hear your reaction. And you were like, bro, there's no way he gets drafted in the first round. And
I was wrong.
Now here, and
somebody fell in love with him. I am begging Hard Knocks to go with the Giants.
Oh,
that quarterback room between Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and now Jackson Dart, this kid from Utah.
By the way, Dable did the most corny stuff yesterday. Named Russell Wilson the starter yesterday. What? 2 different programs in Washington and New York. How the hell are you just giving him the job?
He's not even that good.
He's not.
Like I'm not really a Russ guy. I know he threw that touchdown to Mike Williams, which sucked. That was not fun.
Yeah.
But like I'm not a Russ guy.
That was a nail in Benjamin St. Juice's coffin. that was when people really.
Well, because I think he had a penalty on that drive too. Mm-hmm. So like, not only did he give them an opportunity to win, he then literally hand gifted them the opportunity to win.
That's tough. I can't believe that'll be my thing for the rest of the night. The Tyler Shuck went ahead of
Tyler Shuck. Ben Sandy just tweeted this. Tyler Shuck is 7 months younger than Luka Doncic.
That's literally ridiculous. Will Johnson, he must be made out of paper. Like there's no way that he's still on the board, bro. Remember they always do the way too early mock for next year. After we selected Jaden, bro, they mocked Will Johnson to us in the top 5 because they thought we were going to suck.
Right. I think they had him 3. It was Bleacher Report. I think Bleacher Report had him 3. James Spears Jr. was number 1. But James Spears Jr. has the off the field stuff. Yeah. But apparently it's not as bad as Mike Green or Shador Sanders for whatever the reason is.
The Shador thing, I just think they probably think he sucks, which is weird because like, damn, Pat Shurmur, your word means nothing, huh? Guess you were that bad of a coordinator to where you hyping him up doesn't do anything for him.
Do nothing for him. Poor guy.
Yeah, the Mason Taylor thing is interesting. So Daniel Jeremiah, I don't know if you caught wind of what he said. He was saying he may have been in play for Washington late first round.
I did catch that, and Mason Taylor was a guy. I'm honestly a little glad that he's off the board because I do think if he was available at 61, they would have taken Mason Taylor.
People would have been pissed.
People would have been furious. Not that matters. Not that Adam Peters cares about that at all. Not that I really care about that at all. but it would have been a little bit of a tough look as we're like, because I've been screaming for defense. I want an edge guy. I want a guy that, Kevin was just on with us, Kevin Sheen, and he said, who's going to rack up 10.5 sacks? I don't think Dorrance Armstrong is that guy. I just don't. I would like them to get someone that can at least give me the hope, tease me a little bit, that they can be that guy.
That's like my new, I don't want to say it's new because I've kind of felt like this since they signed Dietrich Wise, I felt like this. I think they like their edge rush group.
I think they're moving Kinlaw. I think he's going to be in a couple of different spots. That's why the game.
I wouldn't be surprised if they. So that would also be interesting. Dog, their best player on the board when we get to 61 may be a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
that may be the case.
It could be the case, which would be crazy.
And
I do this thing all the time of looking up big boards and looking up Kuiper's best available, even though I know it means nothing to Adam Peters. But I am just curious as to what defensive tackles could be.
Alfred Collins is still on the board. Tyler Williams going in the first round yesterday was kind of a shocker to people. Big Shirley from Ohio State, he can play. Jordan Phillips his range is second round, third round from Maryland.
You got Darius Alexander.
Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee is
okay. So Alfred Collins is not on the board anymore.
Damn, this was my guy, bro. 6'5", 325, and can run, bro. It's like a mover. Look at this. Watch his highlights, bro. The only thing I worry about is that he's so tall. Does he play with bad pad level?
Right.
He is a dog, bro. I hope they show him chasing plays down.
Texas has cycled a bunch of really good defensive tackles the past couple of years. Yeah, I don't know if they're defensive tackle U. I don't know if defensive tackle U exists, but they've had a lot of really good interior defensive linemen.
Denton at 6'5", 325, he racked up 62 tackles.
By the way, San Francisco is bulking on defense. Michael Williams and Alfred Collins
both, yeah.
Because I've been looking at San Francisco. I'm an odds guy, so I'm looking at futures and stuff. And San Francisco still being at the top of the NFC is the silliest thing to me. But they've had a really good draft because they're ahead in most books, or at least they were. I should probably pull this up now. But they were ahead in most books in Washington. San Francisco was 17-1 to win the championship or something like that, and Washington was 18-1. So it wasn't a large disparity. But I think Washington is better. If I look conferences right now on
I like Washington better than our quarterback's just way better. Our offense is better than that is how I would look at it.
So the numbers moved. Washington right now on, I don't know who we're sponsored by, but on a book that we are potentially sponsored by is 9-1, and San Francisco is 11-1. So that's changed a little bit. Look at me being a company guy, making sure we're not losing sponsors.
The ultimate company.
Yeah, that's me.
Shador to Dallas, get it off of Dak.
Dog.
I just am the Rams at 46 is interesting.
If Jerry Jones did the Jerry Jones bit where he said we're racking up trades and then they don't rack up any trades. And
oh my God, that would be crazy. Yeah. That would be crazy.
I saw Mike McCarthy on with McAfee and I forgot that he had gotten fired. And I was like, is
what he doing here?
What is going on?
They fired him and hired his offensive coordinator.
Schottenheimer, the guy that I think is the most in terms of numbers, he just hovers around 21. He his offenses are always 21st offense in the NFL. Just got a job.
Just a below average type of guy. They're going to be a mess.
By the way, we're live on YouTube until 10. Live on Twitter until 10.
I'm trying to take a picture to post to promote this.
He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. If you were just joining us, this is called a top of the hour reset in radio. The only difference is we are not regulated by the FCC.
Damn it.
You can say that on the FCC.
You're right. You're right. Oh my gosh. Donovan Ezaraku to Dallas. It's starting. The edge rush run may be starting.
Damn.
Micah, Ezaraku, Fowler.
Damn.
Sam Williams.
Donovan Ezaraku is going to be a bust.
Damn, Dallas's edge rush is crazy, bro.
I wish they drafted Shador.
Damn, Dallas has some pass rushers on. Man. I do this bit whenever I'm with you that I read my tweets out as I'm tweeting them. You'll see that on your timeline coming up here shortly. Damn, Dallas has some pass rushers on. That's crazy.
It's a solid pick from Dallas. Screw them, but it's a solid pick from Dallas. But I want to say we're interactive. We got a comment section rolling on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, you can tweet us at The Denton Day. at NELL_BTP. As we get closer, we'll answer any questions that you guys may or may not have about prospects who Washington ends up drafting. I'm really excited. I would have known that Brock was still on the board, but it's fine.
I want to go into something too, like topic wise here, because I've been thinking about something. I think, and I know Kime has been all over this, so I feel like they do part of what Spoon-fed got. Wow, that sounded crazy. The most plugged in guy over there. He's seasoned, like he's been around. I don't know if they're spoon feeding anybody anything, but he's continued to say that like they want the home run threat back. I've always felt like the running back thing has been more of a fan driven thing, and internally they like Brian Robinson, they like Austin Eckler, they like Chris Rodriguez. So like I always, unless it was like Hampton at 29, I've started to sour on Henderson. I feel like I got bullied into wanting Travion Henderson because like this running back class is so damn deep, Denton, that like
it is so deep.
You can get one in the 5th round that can come in. Like Dylan Sampson may not go till middle of round 4. Like
or DJ Giddens from Kansas State.
Like
I love DJ Giddens. I love DJ Giddens.
Ollie Gordon, which is crazy because he kind of sucked last year, but the year before that, Ollie's dirty. And
they drafted Connerly. They got a good offensive line. Oklahoma State's offensive line was not very good this year. So that played a huge factor. In fairness, nothing about them was good this year. They lost like 8 in a row.
Gundy's my guy.
At one point, you like the mullet. You're a big mullet guy.
I love him, Damn. Oh, Darius Alexander, if he's there at 61 for Washington.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that is still being around at 60. Now, granted,
they're taking it. They may take a D tackle. I'm about to tweet it out before it happens. Looking at how this is falling, unless they feel like they can deal with Mike Green, the D tackles are rolling off the board really slow, and that's a deeper crop.
So, how far does Mike Green have to drop for you to draft him? Or do you think that's a scenario? Because one thing that they've been,
but no, I just don't know like what the real issue is.
Because it seems like they have been very transparent with we are getting Commanders.
Yeah,
like the way that they have. That's something. It's like a tick almost that I picked up on throughout this entire now 2-year process of them being Adam Peters and Dan Quinn being here.
Yeah,
they worry. Not as much, but they really put a lot of stake in who the people are, which I think is a good way to build a team and build a culture. I think it's important. But they put a lot of stake in that. So I'm very curious as to, like, if Mike Green is uber talented and it's the 3rd round or 4th round, I don't think he's going to go in the 4th round, but you know what I'm saying? Like, where's that cutoff point, or is he just completely off their board because of the bad interviews? Because apparently, not only does he have the off-the-field issues, apparently his interview sucked. So he has this baggage, and then when he got in front of people, he was an asshole.
Me and you are 2 like up and coming people in like the sports media industry. So we interview for jobs. How do you leave? How do you exit an interview and having someone think that you're just a complete douchebag? Like,
no idea.
I don't even understand how that ever happens.
I mean, you got to go to like interview 101 again. That they did in high school.
Because what the hell could you say to make a team not want to draft you, especially on defense, where it's not like a defensive end. There's not much board work that you're doing. The quarterback, I know, like
it's not like you're drawing up a bunch of plays and concepts and choice routes and things of that nature.
I don't get that part, but it's all in there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like he must have had to sit in there and just be like the worst human being.
Yeah, I think the Colts may go corner here. They added Travarius Ward this offseason. They got
that'd be a good spot for Will Johnson. Kind of ease him in a little bit.
Got Lou Anarumo there now calling the plays. The Colts are Chris Ballard's got like 9 lives, dude. They may be a sneaky Shador spot. Can we get another try at this point?
Honestly, I don't know why they wouldn't be. Like, Daniel Jones is not a long-term answer. Anthony Richardson is not a long-term answer.
I am curious to see Jones in the system as a runner more so than anything.
I mean, I still can't get over the fact that the one dude quit. I'm good. I tapped out of a football game. I can't get behind that at all.
He doesn't get it. He's a space cadet. I heard he fell asleep, missed a practice. Like you're the damn quarterback, son.
I wish I had the ability to miss work and still get paid.
It'd be all okay.
If I missed work, I would get crucified.
Man, yeah, like these NFL players live in fantasy land. Jonathan Taylor, they're probably going to get Tate Ratledge or something like that, or a guard.
They're going to go offensive line, I would imagine.
Replace Freeze. Who they go yesterday? Warren? Yeah.
Yeah, they went Tyler Warren, which Tyler Warren fit way better for them than damn. Another edge off the board. JT Malo
I'm telling you,
at Ohio State.
somebody was screen recorded in the chat or something. They're going D tackles.
Malo, excuse me. Damn, I was hoping he was going to be available.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now I feel like yesterday when Will Johnson, because I'm a Will Johnson guy.
No.
Yesterday when Will Johnson was, you say, "Oh,"
I know you keep that in. Oh man!
But so I was like watching Will Johnson, and I was like sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
It reminded me of what was happening when Christian Gonzalez was dropping down
like,
the board.
I'm gonna yeah.
Thanks, Ron, for that one. Haven't let that one go. And I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my God, is he going to be available? Now I'm doing that with like Nick Scour out of Texas A&M.
I do not want him. I'm sorry.
Can he just like fall to 61? Because now we've had multiple edge guys come off the board. That's pick number 45. I need to double check my eyes, all four of them. So the Rams are coming up at 46, which means there's 15 picks, math, until Washington is on the board at 61. 30 minutes ago, we were like, oh,
there's still hella edge rushers here, though. So, like,
still a lot of edge rushers.
So some of them are going to fall into that third round, like just from a grade.
So now that JT is gone, the edge rushers that are still on the board, just keeping everybody in the loop here. You got Mike Green out of Marshall. You get Jordan Birch out of Oregon, Nick Scortman out of Texas A&M. I don't know if it's Scourton or Scorton. I say it different every single time. Landon Jackson, that's Twitter's favorite edge guy for the second round. He's still available. Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. And then you take a little bit of a drop off there potentially in terms of maybe a guy in the second round, but still guys that could be available third, fourth, fifth round. But those are kind of like Josiah Stewart, I would imagine, is probably where the cap is to where you're not going to draft anybody below him potentially at 61.
Yeah, I don't. That David Alexander, man. From is it David Walker? I think it's David Walker from Central Arkansas. I called him David Alexander. I confused him with Darius Alexander.
Oh, the D tackle, yes.
No, David Walker from Central Arkansas, the edge rusher.
Oh, yes.
So he's like James Harrison. The reason why I think he has not been drafted, his tape's excellent. He's strong as hell. He's like doesn't have that traditional build for the edge rusher spot. He's 6'1", 260. So like that's why I said James Harrison. Like a shorter guy that can get underneath people's pads. He can, shock you at the point of attack playing the run. I like him because he plays the run well and he's got pass rush pop. So, like, that would be interesting. He's 263. Like, that's the type of body type. That was the other thing that Kevin was saying about Azaraku. I was fine with it, by the way. He would probably going to start playing on third downs. But that's why I think Dietrich Wise and Dorrance Armstrong probably is your starting defensive end tackle tandem, day one. And then whoever you draft, depending on their skill set, they're that third down, second and long designated pass rusher guy. So,
I would agree with that.
I just think it's hard to find a 3-down edge rusher at 29. Like,
now this was much more of a depth class than it was like a home run hitter at the edge, like we've seen in recent years. I mean, Abdul Carter withstanding, but like it's not like this was littered with Jared Versus that you could get later, who you think is going to be really good. Although I do think Michael Williams and him and Jalen Walker, the guys out of Georgia that went before Washington could even sniff the board, are going to be pretty good.
Which one of them was playing hurt? That was the one that knocked my socks off.
Michael Williams, I believe. I think
crazy.
They kind of were. But they were the two guys that had Quinn Ewers tap out of a game at home too, which was the craziest thing. It's not like he was on the road at Georgia. They were just busting the Texas offensive line so bad to the part where Quinn Ewers literally came out of the game and Arch Manning got like 2 series.
I'm good, man.
And then they put Quinn Ewers back in. I thought Quinn Ewers was going to be, this time last year, I was starting Quinn Ewers the first round pick.
People were mocking him.
He completely just.
And he has weapons. He's had weapons, so I don't even understand what his excuse is. My guy, my later quarterback. I don't even know if it's smart to say later with him because he may go ahead of Shedeur now. Will Howard was nasty in the college football playoff.
All right, if Will Howard goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders, I might join you over there.
I
could not fathom Will Howard going. Like, Will Howard had such an embarrassment of riches. And he has a guy that's going to be. Who was the last wide receiver that was drafted absurdly high? someone had to have been drafted crazy high since Calvin Johnson was number 2 overall almost 15 years, almost 20 years ago.
Remember the Falcons trade up for Julio? That was like a top. I think that was top 8.
It was top 8. I think Mike Williams.
Malik Neighbors last year went.
Oh yeah,
6.
Malik Neighbors went 5.
Malik Neighbors
went 5. So, but Jeremiah Smith is going to be a top 5 pick in 2 years when he comes out. Like he had the Mecca Buka, he had Quinshon Judkins, he had Travion Henderson, the embarrassment of riches. I can't imagine that Will Howard goes.
Rams just took this is such a Ramsey pick. They took what's his face, the tight end from Oregon. Terrence Ferguson.
Oh, Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, so I can't believe he went before Elijah Arroyo.
I'm kind of stunned about that pick.
I mean, he fits. He's like another Higbee, honestly. Like he's not the most athletic guy.
They've done a good job bulking up weapons. By the way, the Rams, I think, are important in our conversation just as a whole for Washington because they're right up there at the top of the NFC.
Yes,
Philadelphia is obviously number 1. You have Detroit at number 2, at least on the odds market, and then you get Los Angeles and Washington at 4.
The slide has stopped for old Willie Johnson.
Oh,
Arizona. I like that.
Patrick Peterson.
Yeah. I like that.
Shador Sanders.
No.
Yeah,
it's not still happening. Maybe Vegas at 48 here.
Potentially.
Damn, dog. He's really about to be a 3rd round pick.
He's really, really damn. Terrence Ferguson has a great engagement spot.
That's nasty. Yeah,
that is fantastic. Where is that?
It looks like probably somewhere in Oregon.
Yeah, probably somewhere. I've never been to Oregon. It looks beautiful.
You're
an outdoorsy guy? You a mountains guy? I don't think you're not a mountains guy, are you?
Not really. I need to start though because I've been walking a lot recently, and I think hiking may be like the next evolution of my walking journey.
Good spots around here to hike.
Yeah,
not terrible drives. Now they're not going to look like that with the mountains for you. That you're not going to find. But like Rock Creek Park's pretty nice.
I was ready to go scorched earth on Rock Creek Parkway yesterday.
On the Parkway can kiss my ass.
Holy
the park is
like. I was here yesterday. I had to get over to WUSA 9 by 7 o'clock. I left here at 5:34. I got there at 6:57.
Damn. Was that, like 8 miles?
So I feel like I was in Manhattan. That was the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, Rock Creek Park at rush hour is not to be played with.
Oh.
Yeah, we talk about 95 all the time.
I see why Metal Chris is always screaming. I'd be screaming at people. He lives over there, apparently.
He does?
I think he lives in Rock Creek.
I'm not going to out where he. I'm not going to out too much. But one of my favorite memories with Heavy Metal Chris is when you and I jumped into his Mustang last year.
Oh my gosh, bro!
Show listening to Swedish death metal.
Man,
I think we pulled up next to a cop in the heart of DC. Yeah. We were like red line territory, and I think the cop thought we kidnapped you.
Yeah.
I mean, you were so out of place.
Right.
And I looked over, help! I looked over at the cop. I was like, "Bro, I'm out of place too. Like, I've never listened to any of this music."
That was crazy. I remember. That's crazy.
And then we pulled up right outside the studio, and some white woman saw a rat in the street and was sprinting across the street.
Dog, that was. Speaking of, that was for the schedule release show. We were out at D City Smokehouse.
Yeah, D Smokehouse, which is fantastic.
So yesterday, I don't know if you peeped. So May 14th, excuse me, schedule release date.
Oh,
guess who was on the flyer for the NFL Network joint? Of course, Jaden.
Jaden is.
We're probably gonna have the most primetime games next year.
I would say we're
second,
guaranteed to play on either Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I think we have
one of the
max you can get.
I don't think there is one. If there was, whatever the Jets have had the past 2 years, I think they had like 8. Aaron Rodgers' first year, and then he gets hurt 4 seconds into the game, and you're like, well, that sucks. Yeah. Now we get to watch Zach Wilson for 8 primetime games. How did you feel about the announcement of the schedule announcement? I was like, guy, are you serious?
What do you mean?
They did this whole big song and dance to announce that May 14th was the announcement of the schedule release date.
I respect it from like a media grinding standpoint, trying to make everything the most important event possible. That's why they're a machine. So I get it. And like schedule release is a big deal, kind of.
It is,
it's definitely a big deal.
But it's worse than the draft. Like you're trying to stay away from your phone to not get the pick spoiled.
Yeah.
We know like 90%
I hate that part
of the Commanders' schedule prior.
Yeah.
Although I will say I kind of
Houston just
screwed
get
up.
back on the clock.
Yeah, Houston's back on the clock. I will say I kind of screwed it up because I planned a 10-miler last year because I read the schedule wrong and then realized that when I went to training camp and looked at like a flyer and I was like, oh, that's not going to be good.
I'm like, before I walked in here today, I was having an allergy mishap. It's allergy season. Pollen's high. I'm feeling it. I don't know what just happened. What kick of wind just cropped it through the studio. It's like pollen just crop dusted us or something.
Well, it's better than the Bonchon flies that always make their way up here.
By
the way, if you're just tapping in with us, we're taking questions in the chat on YouTube. You can tweet us as well.
There's so many people watch. I didn't realize.
At NELL_BTP. We are interactive. We're going to be live at the very least until Washington picks, and then if not, until 10, which they're going to pick before 10 p.m. God, I hope they're going to pick before 10 p.m. We got a question. X's the Fox says, any opinions on Nick Skouerton?
I don't like Nick Skouerton.
Yeah, I happen to like him.
I don't like his body type. I feel like he's more. I feel like he don't have the pass rush juice. Now I know he had to change his body this year. I think people keep saying like turn on the Purdue tape when he had double-digit sacks there. So
what I like about him is that he sets an edge. And that felt like a critical piece that was missing for the entire season.
For sure.
It didn't matter. Farrell, Armstrong, certainly wasn't Dante Fowler. That's why he's not here anymore. Yeah. But they need a guy that can set an edge. And I think the value is there if he's available at 61. I would not have been maybe as hyped if they took him at 29. But if he's there at 61, if they really like him, you're at the point now where I don't know how much you've gotten an opportunity to speak with these guys. Like the thing about Connerly is like, oh, he is a commander. We loved speaking with him. Like we loved his mentality. I don't really know how much they've gotten to like hang out with a Nick Skouerton. Maybe for like 5 minutes.
On the top? That's what I got to pull up here at some point. That'll help us kind of connect some of the dots here. I'm about to pull up their top 30 visits. Because last year, I think they drafted like 4 guys they drafted were top 30 guys.
Yeah, it was Jaden, obviously.
Mikey
Benson, it was top 30 visit.
And Javonte John Baptiste was a top 30.
Right. It wasn't Newton because I don't think they thought Newton was going to be available, given where they were going to be picking. But they did. I think they met with him at the combine. Yeah. So like you've gotten in front of a lot of the guys. Although once you get to like the 5th round, you're just looking at tape and the word of coaches, coaches and personnel that were around them, sometimes in multiple different stops. In fact, now it's mostly in multiple different stops. That would be my one problem. Like when someone tells you to go look at the Purdue tape for Skouerton, I was like, oh, I'd want to see what he did in the SEC.
Right. That's true. Well, I mean, it ain't like.
And the Big Ten is great, obviously, but I want to see what he did most recently when he's playing against playing alongside other guys that are really, really good. Because Purdue, at the time when he was there, it's not like they were world beaters. Not that Texas A&M was, but at least they had the expectation of being world beaters.
Yeah, I haven't been a fan of him watching. Like, I feel like he don't have like bend. I feel like the pass rush upside is like minimal with him. And like I feel like there are other guys that I would prefer ahead of him. Is the best.
Let me tell you this: if Azariah Thomas is the pick at 61,
Lordy,
cartwheel in the studio.
That's one of my dudes.
Him and Trey Amos are DBs that are still available. That would kind of help the process, if you will, of not that everything is going to like be building what that 2012 Seahawks defense was, but it's important to remember that Dan Quinn was the defensive mastermind behind that 2011 to 14, 15 Seahawks defense that was some of the best that we've ever seen, at least the best that I've ever seen as more of a younger guy. Like I would love the idea of kicking Mikey back in and you get Latimer on one side, either Trey Amos or Azariah Thomas on the other side. I love Mikey. It's not like a shade at him or anything, but if he's your slot guy, I'm taking Mikey against most of the guys that you're going to see in the slot.
Yeah, I think, and I was saying this before they even brought in Jonathan Jones. I was comfortable if it fell that way, leaving Mikey outside and letting Noah Eye stay at the slot. But adding another outside guy is huge. I'm gonna be real with you though too. I hope it was just like an injury thing. What I've been doing here recently, because I'm a sicko, is going back and rewatching some games. Marshawn Lattimore was bunned, bro.
He struggled,
Like,
but he's never fully healthy.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm trying to like.
there are
grasp with here.
excuses. Like, is that a real
didn't look
thing or
too
not?
good.
But he didn't look all that spectacular.
Texans have like remade their offensive line. They just went Ariante Ezeri, the tackle from Minnesota,
which is expected. Yeah, they give up Laramie Tunsil,
and they signed Cam Robinson too.
They signed Cam Robinson.
And they
remember when they traded Laramie Tunsil here. We had the guy from Houston, Sean Pendergrass, when you and I were sitting in for Kevin, and Sean was great, but he's like, they're going to completely redo this offensive line. But I'm okay with that because I don't think Washington is looking offensive line at 61. So, like, if you want to take those guys, fine, go for it. I want defensive guys at 61.
Yeah, I feel like with them talking about Houston here for real quick, like they were talking about more so like the camaraderie in the room wasn't good. Laramie was not like a leader. Good thing is we don't really need him to be a leader, so I don't really care about that.
Plenty of leaders.
We're starting to like creep up on the pick here. Remember what I said? I think the edges have kind of stopped going here, so maybe it is an edge. D tackle, do not be surprised at that, people. Or if they really like the Miami tight end.
Arroyo.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be too adverse to that either.
I'm hoping defense.
Yeah,
I'm hoping defense.
Sure.
Like that is my stance as we sit here now. Like stance as we sit, word guy. I'm really hoping defense. I want Azariah Thomas. You're in Daniel Jeremiah Mark, right?
Yes.
His mock draft, I think it was 3.0. Mm-hmm. It was either 3.0 or 2.0. I believe he had Azariah Thomas going to Washington 29. Okay. So the potential of getting him at 61 is very, very enticing. Now, here's something just to pay attention to quickly here. The Bengals pick is in.
Yeah.
If they draft another defensive end,
that's all she wrote. I thought
Henderson's gone.
I thought the Shamar Stewart was all she wrote, honestly. I thought that was the curtain call for sure. Man, what if 61? I'd give it up for Trey Hendrickson right now. Right now, bro. I swear I would. Because, like, you would feel relieved that, like, that question mark is answered. And if you answer that question, what are your real other, like, genuine holes? And I'm sorry, running back's not a hole.
It's not a hole. No.
Like, you can go into next year with those two guys.
Needs holes, but it's not a hole.
Correct. And I think that's more important thing, right? We talked about it down the stretch. Ooh. Demetrius Knight to Cincy.
We knew they were going to bolster their defense. Their defense was so unbelievably bad. I mean, they literally squandered a triple crown and potential MVP season from two of their guys on offense. Triple crown for Jamar Chase and then MVP season for Joe Burrow because they couldn't not give up 45 points. Demetrius Knight, cousin of D. Hall. Love D'Angelo Hall.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
One of my prized possessions when I was 12 years old was a black Falcons D'Angelo Hall jersey.
Okay.
My aunt got it for me for Christmas. It was like a size too small. I didn't care. But it was one of back in the day, I don't know if kids still care about this anymore, but you had to get the authentic jersey, the one with the actual numbers and not like the paint or whatever on so they didn't fall off like when you put it in the wash. It was like my first ever authentic jersey. It was the just like I couldn't do anything. It was like a size too small. I just had to fit it.
Make it work.
And then he
had that hole on your back. So this is Knight chasing down Jalen Murray. He is big and fast, dog. He's like a Bobby Wagner type of linebacker.
He does look very similar in the way that he plays and runs to Bobby Wagner. I think Jalen Milroe was there at the draft. Remember, he was invited to the green room. I don't know that he.
That's my dude. I feel like Pittsburgh may like him more than Shador. I could buy
that. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah, Jalen
Milroe he's a run first quarterback at the moment. He needs a lot more development in terms of some of the throws that you have to make at the NFL level. I mean, he was struggling immensely to make throws at the college level with the windows that are significantly larger than the NFL. And if Kalen DeBoer can't get to, I thought Jalen Milroe should have stayed in college, to be honest. I thought he should have stayed one more year with Kalen DeBoer to potentially get not quite Michael Penix level accuracy because Penix was crazy in terms of where he was placing the ball that final year in Washington, but just to get more comfortable with it.
Wow. So Demetrius Knight is also Gladys Knight's cousin as well. So he's just super famous.
That's a hell of a family.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Lordy.
I want to talk about them getting it in. Broncos are trading back. This is all getting crazy.
Do you think trade back is an option for Washington?
So we were talking about it earlier. Yeah, but I don't know how much they would get. in this draft. Like, do we have a fourth? No, we do
have. We have a fourth, no third.
So
61 as of this moment is the only pick that Washington has tonight.
So that would make me like the D. They're probably gonna go D line here. There's still a lot of dog D linemen out there right now at edge and at D tackle. So I think they can go either way. I feel like people are probably gonna be like, why would they go D tackle? Deron Payne next year, you're probably looking to move on from that contract.
And best player available.
Yeah,
I mean,
and BPA. Yeah,
they have told us this is how they draft.
Yeah.
They go best player available. It's great if that best player available satisfies a need that you also had, and there is obviously the benefit of common sense, where like you're not drafting a quarterback in the second round because you have your quarterback, but they go best player available. And Adam Peters has never wavered from that. We're now 2 years into this. He said it yesterday. He said it all last year. It's why they drafted Johnny Newton. Everyone's like, why did you draft Johnny Newton? You got John Allen, Deron Payne. Now, John Allen obviously isn't there, but they go best player available.
Yeah.
That's how you should go, by the way.
That's what the good teams do.
Desperately for need, you walk yourself into the fire.
And I feel like it's cool, right, that Washington's now at the back end of the draft. Baltimore, Philly, Kansas City over the past couple of years have like made a living off of getting dogs at that spot.
Yeah.
So like going BPA is the best thing to do, especially when you're picking late in the draft.
God, just give me a corner. Just give me a corner. Is that too much? Just give me a corner.
So
corner, like a nice ball corner.
Yeah, if it's corner, that's why I was not in on. I saw DJ at mock Jade Barron, and Jade is a dog. I didn't want him here. I feel like he's redundant to Mikey. We need an outside corner.
I'm like
Marshall Lattimore. We don't have no corner over 5'11". I think Marshall may be listed at 6 foot, but like,
I don't know if he's 6 foot.
Yeah. So,
well, they had St. Just. Yeah. That didn't work.
They came, they saw, they conquered.
I think Forbes was like 6'2".
Yeah, that joke of a guy.
He was so skinny. he was,
Who's there was somebody that had his body type at corner in this class. They're a little skinnier in the legs. Irrelevant because I didn't want him for that reason.
I would see that as like PTSD. Is Jack Del Rio like him? If Jack Del Rio likes him, I'm good. I don't need that.
I got to pass on that.
One of my worst takes ever that I made in an effort for transparency. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Commander's Log series that they do on social media. I think they do a really good job with that. So I remember watching that after the NFL draft, and I see like Jack Del Rio just beaming after the Emmanuel flag. Ron ran up to tell him, he's like, "We got your guy," and he's beaming.
He was probably drunk as hell.
And I was like, man, like, this is great.
That's probably drunk.
Jack wants him. He's going to make a lot of turnovers. Awesome.
Yeah.
I should have known.
His ass was probably drunk, man.
I tell you about the time I almost hit Jack Del Rio with my car.
Why didn't you? Kidding. But
I was driving on Loudoun County Parkway just casually, right where the practice facility is. I was probably going to like Trader Joe's and one Loudoun or something like that. No Elijah Arroyo. He just got drafted by Seattle.
I like that for them.
But I see this like dude walking across Loudoun County Parkway, and like you go over to camp a lot. It's not like the busiest road in the world.
For you to be walking that,
but it's also not a road I'm walking across.
Yeah, you're probably in trouble if you're walking that.
I mean, it's a 4-lane road. You're hitting like 45, 55 miles an hour. If you're Jamin Davis, you're hitting 110. Like you are moving on that road. And this dude is just walking, and I slow up because I see him, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? And he gets to the center median because he's going across, like away from the practice facility. And I kind of look over because I'm like, I'm in my bag a little. I'm a professional road rager with windows up. I don't want any smoke. I feel that. And I look over, I'm like, who is this dummy?
Yeah.
And I look at him, I'm like, that's the defensive coordinator,
Micah Jack.
That's Micah Jack. I was like, what the hell? Why is he go? First of all, what is he doing over by the business park?
Wow, scoring Panthers. Yes. Somebody in the chat just said they wanted to score, and I'm sorry.
Damn it.
He just went to Carolina. I like what they're doing. For them to get Tet and then go get us like a edge rusher that everyone else likes but Lynnell.
Damn it.
Is stuff.
Oh, that's not great.
Darius Alexander, bro. I think they're going to tackle.
Give me a corner, please. Not
Oladejo's still there. There's so many guys, bro.
Just give me a corner. Give me a corner. I swear, if if Azariah Thomas and Trey Amos, like the 2 picks before Washington, we're not regulated by the FCC on this. I promised Drab I wouldn't just be out here MFing everybody. I might be MFing some people.
Yeah, that may make things get a little physical.
I've never crashed out on the internet before, but sometimes it seems fun. That might be the one to finally get me to do it.
This time it is more than justified, I would say. For sure. Who is this random introducing the Panthers pick? I like Dave Canales.
Who is that?
I have no clue. They're just bringing up anybody.
Like it almost looks like Eric Reed, but there's no way that's Eric Reed. You remember Eric Reed, the guy that was with Colin Kaepernick? Like, there's no way that's him.
Remember how all the fan base wanted us to sign him? The Jeremy Reeves story would have never happened. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I got to tell you though, I was a big mark for Eric Reed. LSU.
He was whacking people, bro. Like,
he was fantastic. He had like the perfect safety look too.
You really like the Scorton guy, bro?
I like
him. He can do that.
Yeah, the edge is what I liked about him. It was never about his pass rushing. I thought Shamar Stewart was the better of the two when it came to pass rushing tools, but it's his ability to play the run and set the edge that I really, really liked.
I just feel like his get off.
This is also just highlights. Like, it's not like they're going to show him sucking.
Yeah. I just don't like. He's good, like locking out and playing the run, but like I want a pass rusher too. I would rather take a guy that has more pass rush upside and hope that they can get stronger and play the run than a run stuffing guy that
They need to have a certain body type then, because
he doesn't have it. Like,
well, he has a better body type than Fowler, I think, for that. Like as the season progressed, it felt like Fowler was he wasn't Emmanuel Forbes by any stretch. It was like you're getting manhandled.
Yeah,
in that
you're out of position a lot, and it was hurting the run game.
So someone in the Jalen Murrow is not going to play running back in the NFL, at least not for the first 2 years.
I think whoever lands him though, man.
He was the fastest player on. Hold on. Okay, never mind.
10 picks away.
ESPN just kind of tripped me out a little bit. They transitioned to War Room Shop, but they used our transition logo, and I was like, wait a second, hold on. Did a trade just happen? But no. Prices averted. That's just somebody in the truck at the mothership
playing games. That's not cool. Yeah.
Our video producer would never do that. We got a great team. It's Lynnell. It's me. It's our video producer Clarence. Video producer Clarence would never do that.
Bro, can I be? This has irked me the whole time we've been on it. Is there any way we could? Do you feel like changing the lower third? You missing Sundays? So if you're missing Sundays, I miss Sundays as well.
Wow, no one told me how to make lower thirds.
Oh my gosh, Oladejo.
Yeah, I was about to say the UCLA edge just went out of here.
Oluwafemi Moses Oladejo.
I probably should get that lower third out of here now that I talk about it.
I mean, it's already been an hour and a half.
It has been an hour and a half. I figured because it was like Grant Danny, and I was like, we are not Grant Danny. Although I did do a show once with Grant to kick off the return of the XFL to DC, and people kept coming up to me and asking if I was Danny Rouillet, and I was like,
well, that's a compliment.
It was a compliment, but I was like, no, I'm just regular white. Like we're just. All right, there we go. See, lower third, gone.
Boom.
That. Good job, video producer Clarence.
There we go.
So that's another edge off the board. Just an update on the edges that are still available now that they're off the board to Tennessee. Mike Green, he's not getting drafted by the Commanders. Jordan Birch. Jordan Birch, I thought was really good at times for Oregon. He had a little bit of injury history, though. I mean, obviously it's football. Everyone's going to get injured. I think at a certain point you just have to put that in the rearview mirror. But Jordan Birch is available. Landon Jackson, that's the guy that everybody raved about on social media. It feels like he has like this cult following here in DC, despite the fact that I don't know that he's ever come to Washington, DC before. But he's still on the board. Cy Stewart is still on the board as well. And that's kind of, unless they really love somebody on their board.
There's some good football players here.
Where that is going to end for the edge guys.
They're going to end up, I don't see them trading back because I think there are like too many good players still available. Wide receiver is interesting. Like, what if they?
So the wide receivers that are available, you get Trey Harris. Trey Harris 6'2", He'd be good over the middle. Jalen Noel is a guy that's been really interesting. He's
Yeah.
5'10". So if you're looking for like a taller guy, maybe not Jalen Noel. Jalen Royals is a guy that's garnered a lot of attention out of Utah State. The problem is you played at Utah State. Not saying you can't be good at a Utah State,
Right.
but like who are you playing against
Yeah.
at Utah State? I really like Kyle Williams out of Washington State,
Had a
but I
good
feel like you could maybe get him in like the 3rd or 4th round. The guy that I think most people would really, really love, and that I would really, really love, is Ty Felton.
Yeah, speed guy.
I mean, speed guy.
I'm a Trey Harris guy. Trey Harris still on the board. I would take Trey Harris over Ty Felton. I ain't gonna lie.
I'd probably take Trey Harris over Ty Felton too. But I go Trey Harris, Ty Felton, Jalen Noel, and then I like Alec Ayomanor from Sanford. 6'2", 206.
For everybody, that's the guy that bagged Travis Hunter.
That's the guy that bagged Travis Hunter. Isaiah Bond is on this. Is still on the board as well.
You think because of his situation, well, he ended up being found like what was up with him? Didn't he have an off the field thing come recently?
He's not going to be a commander. I wouldn't. Okay. I wouldn't put too much into
my other sneaky guy that also gave Travis some fits is Torrey Hunter out of Colorado State. He's more of a 4th round guy though. I think. Yeah. I think they're. I don't know. Based on who's here on defense, there are a lot of good defenders here still.
I would not love it if they went wide receiver here.
There's too many good defensive players.
There's too many good defensive players,
in my opinion.
And while I still think they could use another wide receiver, because I think Debo is going to be in like this weapon X kind of form, if you will, where he's all over the place. I would love another wide receiver to play alongside Terry, so Terry doesn't have to do everything at times, especially with no De'Ami Brown anymore. I do like Michael Gallup though.
Yeah, I think he's going to be like the sneaky, like maybe like Noah Brown. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like we didn't really expect
Brown coming back. I always forget about Noah Brown.
Yeah. The reason I brought him up, though, because I remember when he was signed, like everyone was clamoring for him, but we didn't expect what we got from him. I think Gallup is just more talented. So, like, maybe
Noah Brown loved a comeback route.
Oh, yes.
The Jaden Daniels to Noah Brown comeback route on like a 3rd and 6 was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, for sure. It's honestly crazy, though. Like,
here's a question for you. Do they go to commercial? Do they go to commercial when the Commanders pick again?
I'd be annoyed. Probably. Just knowing how
they did it last night.
Yeah, I was about to say. It didn't happen.
1st round. What are you doing?
Stuff just happens. I need them to get a difference maker on defense. Like I'm starting to really lean defense right now. Like I want defense. I don't care what the board says.
I want defense. You know?
But if the board says
we're going to start trolling Joe Witt Jr. in press conferences, which I actually thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But if we're going to start trolling Joe Witt Jr. in press conferences, like can we at least get a defensive guy? I don't feel like that's out of pocket to ask to get some help on the defensive side. By the way, just an update in the hockey game, Washington, Montreal tied at 2-2.
Okay.
So we might have to flip that on one of these TVs here because I couldn't give a rat's ass about the Orlando Magic and Boston Celtics.
Yeah, Orlando, they disrespecting them so bad, and they're just choosing not to play Jason Tatum over a little wrist injury. It looks like he's back right now, though. He didn't play last game, though. Tampa's on the board. They were another team that I thought may go. They surprised me.
Simeon Rice went hard back in the day. You gotta be. You might have to be a real sicko at our age to know Simeon Rice, but I was heavy with Simeon Rice in like the Madden 2002.
They went Ben Morrison and Mekek Buka. Those were their 2 picks.
Yeah, so a cornerback off the board, Benjamin Morrison. Benjamin Morrison played at Notre Dame, who was known heavy.
Oh, his father played for us?
His father played for the Commanders or the Redskins, but it looked like they showed Darryl Green.
Yeah, that's
what 28 or 38, not 20. And I was like, whoa, hey.
This is Darryl Green's
kid. Benjamin Morrison is a really good man coverage guy.
Okay.
So that's where, and Washington did a good job or played a decent amount of man coverage last year. So if you wanted a man guy, he would have been a really good pick for that. So him coming off the board at 53 is not a massive buzzkill, but it's at least something of note as far as 61 coming up here.
Yeah.
We're 7 picks away now. Green Bay about to be on the board at 54.
Did you like them going Matthew Golden last night?
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know that it was fully intended to be this, but the troll job that ended up being, I thought was hilarious. Yeah. Like right after they showed this Aaron Rodgers package, which you knew they were going to show, just given his history and being in Green Bay.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers was screaming for years, get me a wide receiver in the first round. They never do. And then as soon as the president walks up and he mentions it, like for the first time since 2002, like he's just leaning into the bit.
Yeah.
It honestly sucked a little bit of life out of it. Like when Roger Goodell embraces the booze, it's like, no, you're not supposed to like
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
So like him kind of jumping in on a bit sucked a little bit, but I think Golden's a really good player. And the upgrade of going from Quinn Ewers to Jordan Love. I'm not the biggest Jordan Love guy, but he's a lot better than Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, he is.
And at least with LaFleur, like I think LaFleur is a pretty decent offensive mind. He's not Sark. Steve Sarkisian, I think, is the best play caller in college football. But going to play with Matt LaFleur is not a bad place to be.
So ESPN just threw up a lower third. They had the most drops in the NFL last year. That's crazy.
They dropped everything. Everything. I feel
Damn, so what about Chicago's on the clock again? Chicago won the draft already to me. I'm sorry.
And dropped another wide receiver.
Colson Loveland, Luther Burden. If they get an edge rusher here, like they look good, man.
Who is the best for spoiling picks?
Ari
Mirov,
Yeah.
the guy that I always confuse with Dove Kleinman.
I also had that same thing.
At first, I thought they were the same person for a while. Then I realized that Ari Mirov is an actual person, and that Dove Kleinman is not.
I'm so tired of people. People are still this draft pick, like the Connolly pick, showed me who I need to mute on Twitter. Anybody that's really up in arms about the pick and like they keep posting that stupid rep against Mike Green from the Senior Bowl. Come on.
I mean, yeah, post the Abdul Carter reps.
Yeah, like the better pass rusher.
We're like, come on, guys. He lost one rep.
Yeah,
wasn't even in the game. I'll take the highlights in the game versus the highlights not in the game. Like, are you nuts? Are you a crack? Are you serious?
Y'all gotta really be objective here.
So they take Green Bay took a tackle.
Anthony Belton. Thick kid. He can move. Cinnamon Roll. Okay. Chicago ain't good. You tripping, bro. How can you say Chicago's not good?
They've had a great off season.
Hell yeah.
They're not as good as the Commanders.
They've won the off season to me, in my opinion. The Bears have. I love it. I think Connolly's a good player. That's not at all what I'm saying. I think
it's so ridiculous because literally like 4 or 5 weeks prior, everyone's like drafting offensive linemen, and they draft an offensive lineman.
Not people are mad, yeah.
And now they're upset. That wasn't my favorite pick of the moment. No, I liked it, didn't love it because I'm hell bent on defense.
Yeah.
Like I want them at 61 to take defense, but the savior is here. Right. You better protect him.
I can't. The Bears being on the clock again is like nuts.
And plus, my goat Todd McShay loves him. So if Todd McShay loves him, I love him.
Damn, man. The question: is it good to have multiple Commander players, or one or two? I'll get what you mean by that. Anybody think Chicago ain't gonna be good? Y'all hating.
I mean, I do hope that they are not good.
Right.
I don't think,
but like it just doesn't seem like they would.
I hope everyone in the NFC stinks.
Yeah.
Particularly Philly.
Caleb isn't that good. Come on, bro. I think that's tough.
We're interactive. You can lock in with us in the chat, ask us some questions. He's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Denton Day. Streaming live on 167 Fan, Team 980. This is the first, to my knowledge, Lynnell, this is the first ever fully YouTube exclusive on both channels. I know Craig has done some Take Command stuff, but this is the first fully video exclusive.
We exclusive. We're getting close. Get us to 1,000 on Twitter, man. We're at 923 on X. Get us to 1,000.
That's just on the 1067 page. We got almost 2,000 people hanging out with us.
Total. Wow.
Having a good time.
Yeah, we're at 570. Chicago.
So Ross asked a question that we have answered. Damn it. I love that for Los Angeles. They draft Trey Harris.
Love that pick for
out of Ole Miss. So they get small receivers and big receivers.
Yeah.
Damn. Would you take Mike Green at 61? So we kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think my answer is no. Because I think what Washington has done, what Adam Peters has done, is they've taken him off the board, which is why they didn't draft him at 29. There's something with Mike Green to where he is not he is not what you would envision as a commander. Whatever that means to, well, actually, it doesn't matter what it means to you or me. It matters what it means to them in Ashburn. Whatever they have decided is and makes up a commander does not feel like that Mike Green meets that. Therefore, whatever talent he has on the field is not going to be worth it. So I do not anticipate, even if Mike Green is still on the board at 61, I do not anticipate that he is going to be the selection.
Detroit just traded up to 57. Denver's continued to slide back here.
Detroit might take Mike Green.
Yeah.
Who
did they go last night with?
Let me pull up their draft board from yesterday.
I think they were offensive line. Did they go Donovan Jackson?
They went, yeah, and then Josh Simmons went to Kansas City, I think.
Make sure. I think that's how that went.
So Detroit took. No, they took Tyler Williams. They took the defensive tackle.
Oh, that's a big Shirley. Okay.
Yeah, Donovan Jackson went to Minnesota.
Yes.
And then Josh Simmons went to, I was right there, Kansas City.
Right after him. Yeah.
Right.
Trey Harris to the Chargers is interesting.
Detroit, though, taking Mike Green to pair with Aiden Hutchinson.
And then Tyleek Williams and
Tyleek Williams. I mean, that would be a disgusting defensive front.
Yeah, that would be. And then you have that psychopath linebacker that they have, Alex Anzalone, chasing.
And
that's actually crazy.
The kid from Iowa. They just don't get hurt. Their season looks a little bit different. Yeah. I would still take Jaden over that defense.
We probably wouldn't have shellacked him the way that we did, but I
still to one
the game. Yeah,
still to one, but maybe not to the way that we did, or it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
We got someone saying, "Do not take Landon Jackson." I thought.
Why would you not? Why would anybody be against Landon Jackson?
I thought everybody loved Landon Jackson.
Feels like it. Trey Amos is there, but I like Azariah Thomas better.
I like Azariah Thomas better than Trey Amos as well. I don't know. There's something about Florida State.
But then Darius Alexander, man, the D tackle.
I'm almost like what you felt with Nick Gordon. I get Darius Alexander off the board. Get him off the board. I don't.
He was mocked in the first round in a lot of mocks that I saw.
He was. So I have the big board up for ESPN, which I believe is a combination of Mel Kiper and Field Yates. Darius Alexander on this board was the overall 29th player.
Okay.
And he grinned out at 88. The only guy that's higher than him was Mike Green, who was the overall 20th player on the board. And then the drop-off is Siobhan Ravel Jr. He was 31.
I love his story. He's a commander through and through. If he's healthy, and I was reading the note that his doctor has sent out to teams, he's going to be, full go by training camp.
He's 6'2", 194 at the cornerback. If you want a big corner to potentially deal with like an AJ Brown that's not going to fight him in the end zone, Siobhan Ravel Jr. might be your guy. And Trey Amos is 6'1".
Yeah, I like the toughness. Oh my goodness, Lions traded up and are getting that bad SOB Tate Ratledge. Woo! He is a Lion. He is a Dan Campbell type of player, bro.
The Bears took a tackle as well. They took Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College at 56.
Also,
then Detroit took Tate Ratledge at 57, which means we are 4 picks away.
So we're 4 picks away,
Yeah. By the way, the picks that are to come are Vegas, Baltimore, Denver, and then Washington. Denver has traded back 6 times already today. So who knows if they're actually going to be picking at 60.
Chicago, does whatchamacallit, there's no way that Vegas passes on Shador here, right? I can't believe he's still on the board. This is getting nutty.
They end up taking another quarterback.
That would be crazy. Kevin Winston is interesting here too for Washington. If they choose to go safety, he's got he's Jeremy Chin. The injury medical situation with him is tough. Yeah, we didn't even really talk about safety. What if they go safety here? I think safety is a bigger need to me than corner. People are going to say, "Oh, no, you're tripping, hot take artist." Will Harris doesn't move the needle for me. Percy Butler's a core special teamer. You're a Quan Martin injury away at safety from having no safeties.
I would take my favorite safety is Xavier Watts. That's available.
I like Xavier Watts. Also, the
kid from Penn State is
Bowman
good
from Oklahoma.
You might be able to get him tomorrow.
Xavier, yeah. What's Bowman's name?
Billy Bowman.
Billy Bowman, yeah.
Billy
like
Bob
that.
Bowman.
Billy Bob.
I don't know if it's
interesting.
actually Billy Bob, but that just Billy Bob Bowman flows really well. If I'm just mixing names here,
it's
Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State, 6'2", 215 at safety.
I like Craig Woodson from Cal.
Is Xavier Watts, 6 foot 204.
Oh, here's your guy.
Oh, is that Seth Franklin Rollins? I'm a
I didn't even watch the Raw after Mania.
I got to get up so early now.
Yeah.
I was like, I was watching the Caps too. So is Seth a heel? Like, he's a heel on TV. Is he a heel right now?
Yeah, I mean,
killing the business, Seth.
Right. They're in Chicago. I mean, they're in Green Bay, so at his daddy's house.
This might be the best promo that he's ever cut. Yeah. Although it also might not be because the Bears sucked. Like, how you go troll Green Bay when they've been your daddy for a long time.
The Shador slide is crazy. I think the Bears have won the offseason. With their 2 or 3 picks that they've had to this point, and then what they've done boosting up the offensive line, they're doing what you're supposed to do when you have a young quarterback. They're going out and getting them weapons. Luther Burden and Colston Loveland is like, even if they didn't have DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, those are 2 pieces that you could like build your pass game around. So I really love what Chicago's gotten the chance to do at this point. Seth Rollins has been up there talking forever. Hurry up and make the damn pick. Cinema roll. I'm being objective.
Oh, is he doing one of the things that I hate? What? I hate when the celebrities take forever and a half. Like, just make the pick.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth Rollins and I share a birthday. Is
you have the same birthday to
me, Seth Rollins, and Doc Walker.
That's amazing.
Yeah, guess who gets forgot on that graphic? Me.
Yeah, I didn't realize the Bowman. Not that I didn't realize, but that is something about Bowman. He's not the biggest guy. That's why I like Winston, because he got some size on him. Man, like the Bears gone, man. He's a starter. He walks in and starts at some spot. He's a starter. He walks in and starts at some spot. He's so versatile. He can play inside and out. But the Bears, if the Bears win 9 games next year, I'll pop. 9 games is a high ball, Randy. They should win 9 games. You also got to give them the benefit of the doubt, too. If it turns out they don't hit 9 wins, they're in the best division of football. The North is the best division. I don't think it's up for debate.
The AFC North?
No, the NFC North.
Oh,
Chicago's the best, worst placed team in the NFL.
I think Minnesota's going to be the worst placed team in that division. I'm not a JJ guy.
I'm not either. I still think that Aaron is still a potential there. And I don't know why they just didn't go with Aaron.
Oh my God.
I haven't even gone there with you yet.
Just the following of the Brett Favre thing is unbearable.
Well, yeah.
I mean, guy, go to therapy. Like, you do all this ayahuasca.
Baltimore, Vegas took Jack Beck. That's interesting.
Dang, your guy is just slipping and sliding.
Dude, no. Detroit getting Tate Ratledge to replace Zeiler is like so crazy. Like, that's tough.
All right, so who's Washington going with? So
yeah, that's what I'm kind of like looking at here. The big
we're at the point now.
Can we go? What's up with our final consensus thought? You've given yours. I haven't given mine, I guess, on Mike Green. I wouldn't mind taking him at 61, but I do feel crazy that teams are passing on him. But yeah, he's still talented. Landon Jackson, I really like. What if they pass on edge rusher here? If they pass on edge rusher here, what position do you think they're most likely to go? Safety?
DB of some
safety.
Yeah, whether it's safety or corner, I would imagine. I think what I would be
Kevin Winston here is sweet.
What I'd be most upset with is if they go like middle linebacker.
I mean, there ain't really no backers here now at this point.
That's why I'm saying, like, we really loved him best on the board. I'm like, can we like maybe do a little bit better than that? Not that I don't think they're going to, but I would say it's going to be DB. If it's not Landon Jackson.
Oh, Darius Alexander may be the best defensive player on the board.
Right? Yeah, I like it. It feels like
he may be the best defensive player.
Adam Peters is like, he's looking at the Green Goblin mask on the dumpster, being like, "Do I take a defensive tackle?"
Yeah, I know.
do I go back to the well with a defensive tackle?
So I know they met with Quincy Riley out of Louisville. Noah Williams out of Cal. I like two at corner. I think that may be too rich for him now. Darian Porter. So here's the thing about Darian Porter, right? He's big as hell, right? The former wide receiver. Is he going to tackle?
You gotta have someone to tackle. Like Mike, one of the things I loved about Mikey is Mikey would tackle.
Yeah.
Not the biggest guy. Remember when we thought Emmanuel Forbes could tackle because he made like 3 plays at Mississippi State, and then we saw him in a game in the NFL.
That was the. I ain't gonna lie. You're giving me PTSD.
I mean that might objectively be one of the worst picks that this organization.
And I was so in on it, bro. The interception thing got me. I was like, all he does is catch picks. Are the automatic lights like shutting off in here? I'm getting blacker on the stream. Well, actually, it was a nice little warm color that came in. You're looking a little darker over there.
I don't know how I can answer that. I like my job a little bit too much. Are we on YouTube TV?
Are we? How?
It feels like the stuff on television is like 4 minutes behind. Because we already know who
Chicago picks after Washington. I didn't even realize that.
They really do. They really do have all the picks.
Yeah, Chicago's won the offseason, bro.
So available for Washington at 61 is going to be. I'll just re-go over some. So I'm pulling up ESPN's best available.
Yeah,
this is a combination, I believe, of Kuiper and Field Yates.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Green, your guy Darius Alexander. That's a defensive tackle from Toledo. Mike Green, obviously the edge from Marshall.
Yeah.
Siobhan Revell Jr., the quarterback from East Carolina. Shador's not going to get drafted here. Trey, the quarterback from Ole Miss. Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia. I don't think that would be the case, but you never know. Shamar Turner from Texas A&M. They had a Shamar Stewart and a Shamar Turner. Jalen Noel from Iowa State. That's a wide receiver. Jordan Birch from Oregon.
I like the build of Jordan Birch.
He's 279 edge guy. Played the run in the past. Kevin Winston Jr. on there as well. That's a 6'2" safety that we've been talking about. So those are 10 guys.
There's so many dudes here. They're going deep.
Johnson available as well, the running back from Iowa, and then Landon Jackson on there too.
Would you say that based off of all the players you named for defense, like I think they're definitely going defense.
I would be shocked if they go anything other than defense here.
Who are the Ravens going to pick? That's what's going to I feel like they would pick.
I found the guy that you said spoils picks, and then as soon as I clicked on his profile, he decided to be Mr. Goody Two Shoes and stop spoiling picks. I was like, guy, can you let me beat the system and beat the right? There it is. The Ravens selecting not Shador Sanders, Mike Green.
They got Malachi Starks and Mike Green.
That feels like the old school Ravens.
Yeah.
And they got Kyle Van Noy on there as well. He had a hell of a season. They got Kyle Hamilton. It feels like the Ravens are bringing back that defense. But boy, let me tell you, this feels a little out of character for the Ravens. Getting the guy with the off the field issues. Still on that roster. Justin Tucker's still on that roster.
I was going to say.
They were pretty critical about the Deshaun Watson thing. Justin Tucker's still on that roster. So we gotta recognize the hypocrisy that is seemingly going on with that team over there up I-95. Not in the Beltway. They're not in the Beltway. They don't claim our Beltway. We don't claim their trash ass. But right up the Beltway and right up 95, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm calling my shot. I think I agree with you. It's either DB or defensive tackle. I don't think they're going to go edge.
I think
but maybe, and I credit Logan on this. He brought this to everyone's attention on the pod. Do they reach here because they're not on the board again for a while? Do they take somebody that people may have had a little bit lower because they know they're not going to get the chance to pick again for a minute? Who would be considered? I love my man. I keep talking about him, bro. The guy, the edge rusher from Central Arkansas, dog. I think David Walker, 6'1", 263. Look at the numbers. 31 sacks in 3 seasons.
I'll tell you what, dude. The drop off, waiting to 61. We're hanging out and having a good time. It's been fun. the gap between 61 and 128 blows.
That's awful.
That's an awful
It's on tomorrow too.
Yeah, you and I are tomorrow, 12 to 3:35. Hopefully, Washington picks twice during that time frame because the draft starts at 12. They got they're in the 4th round, and they got then the 6th round. So they get listen to these gaps, dude. You get 29 to 61. That's what we're on today, 61, which is going to take place in a couple of minutes. 61 to 128, 128 to 205, and then 245.
Yeah,
again, that's tough. Which as I say that out loud, I'm much more open to the idea and the potential of them drafting or them trading out of 61 if they can. I don't know that there's someone that's going to be available like that, but if they can, I would.
This is all it's nerve-wracking if I'm being honest, but I think because of how many edges are still here, they may but no, none of these guys will be there when you're on the board again, though. So I think they actually do go edge here, maybe because the next time they're picked, I don't think any of these guys are going to be there.
No, most of them will not, unless they decide to make a bunch of moves.
Zach Sawyer's interesting. I know that
Sawyer might be available tomorrow.
Yeah. So are you in the business of trading picks to get back in this thing?
I would be very much in favor of them moving from 61 if it gets them a later 2nd round pick and a 3rd round pick, just to get more. Because you're right, you're going 60 picks.
That's a long gap between getting dudes, man. That's why I'm I don't know.
And I think they've done a decent job in free agency. I've been pretty outspoken about not loving the 1-year journeyman thing again. Also, one guy that we have not mentioned that they did sign is Jonathan Jones, the cornerback from New England. We've been talking a lot about getting a defensive back. They didn't get one with Jonathan Jones, but again, that was a 1-year journeyman deal. So I don't love the 1-year deal thing. I thought it didn't work last year, obviously, but I don't know if that's something you want to attach yourself to. Yeah. You're playing with fire a little bit there. So I would love to get more picks to get more guys that you will be able to have in your system for the potential of multiple years.
For sure. This is getting nerve-wracking because I'm this is it. The next guy that you draft in round 4, you hope he comes in and can contribute and maybe can start, but it's no guarantee. I just am which position are you ruling? If there's a position you're ruling out here because of how many players are still there, what's the deepest group still left here on defense? D tackle.
D tackle. Yeah, it'd be D tackle.
But the best player on the board on defense is a D tackle.
It's a D tackle. The best player on the board, period, is a D tackle.
Yeah. ESPN needs to update this. They're behind.
They're way behind.
Shador's still on the board, bro. What?
Remember when you thought that 3rd round comment was crazy?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No way. We're all of a sudden
we are knocking on the door of that 3rd round.
What the hell?
I can't believe that's real. The Commanders are officially on the clock.
Do you like Aiden Huntington? You said Aiden Huntington maybe as good as David Walker.
But I haven't found. Damn. So the Broncos got a running back, RJ Harvey at 60. So Washington's on the clock. Sorry, I wanted RJ Harvey. I would have loved if RJ Harvey felt like the
I like Q Robertson as well.
So the guys that are on the board for Washington now, you'll get live reaction. We're going to spend a lot of time reacting to it. Basically, everyone I just named: Darius Alexander, Siobhan Ravel, Trey Amos, Shamar Turner, Jared Wilson, Jalen Noel, Jordan Burch, Kevin Winston Jr., Landon Jackson, the guy that everybody loved on social media. Get your thoughts in on the chat before we end up getting this. We're going to get this way before ESPN does on television because I'm not waiting for their lazy ass. I want this now. You want this now. So we're going to do our best to get it as soon as one of the beat guys put it out, or Jordan Schultz, because he seems to be breaking everything as well.
And they hate that. They hate his rise. And the insiders don't like Jordan Schultz. He's sort of like an organic. My dad's rich, so I bought my.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't know if it's organic, so to speak, but it's I have resources, so I'm going to make it work. Just don't see him in a Starbucks, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Hashtag smoke. Who the hell are we about to take? I felt like this last night before they went tackle. I feel like it's Darius, though. I don't know.
Yeah, the fan base is going to erupt
If it's
if
D-tackle.
it's D-tackle again.
I know. I feel like it's too
They
many.
don't
Too many
care.
members
Like let me
here.
just put it out. They do not care if like we are massively upset as long as they love the player. With that said, the fan base would erupt, and a lot of the people that what was the guy's name, like Alex in Silver Spring, that called into Kevin Sheen and used your name as the basis of a rant. Those people would be coming out in tenfold on the worldwide interweb.
Chris Russell just tweeted
the Shador Sanders.
Yeah, that was funny. I can't lie. Who does Jack Beck look like? Jared Goff. I'm really good with these like
Jared Goff and Bruce Gradkowski love child.
If Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff
if Jimmy Garoppolo had a love child with Gru from Despicable Me.
Despicable Me. He looks like the coach.
I watched that movie for the first time like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Despicable Me is one of those things. Even when we were kids, it would have played then too.
I mean, it was
like the new thing for the.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I like my wife quotes it all the time. I never knew. And then I watched. I was like, "This is why you always say whatever it was."
I'm scared, dude. You think it's Landon?
I think it's gonna be Landon Jackson. But I would love Azariah Thomas. Like I would love Azariah Thomas. I would love Kevin Winston Jr., Chevelle out of East Carolina. Like, just give me defense. I am desperate. I am pleading. Just give me defense.
They may be on the phone. They're taking a little while to announce this pick.
They did that yesterday too. Although I can't tell how long they've been on the clock for because ESPN is
so they put out
ESPN has been announced at least like we're on Verizon, by the way. Like we're not on YouTube TV, we're on cable. They haven't even announced the Mike Green pick.
Yeah, because
they're interviewing this wide receiver that Vegas just drafted. I don't know if NFL Network is doing better because I decided to go on ESPN. I should have went with NFL Network, honestly.
Guy in the chat, Damon Lester says he knows Siobhan Ravel.
Oh, I hope he's a nice guy.
We did it.
Drum roll.
Trey Amos. DB. We called it.
So with the 61st pick in the NFL draft, the Commanders have selected another DB. They take Trey Amos, the defensive back out of Ole Miss. We wanted defense, Lynnell. We got defense.
There we go. I like picking Trey Amos. He is the physical profile that they needed in the cornerback room. 6'1", 200 pounds. He's the biggest corner on their roster right away. A zone guy, like fits everything they want to do. I like him. He's physical and will come up and tackle. I like it, man. I like it. I wasn't like super familiar with him during the process. Like I didn't see the hype all the way, if that makes sense. I like him though because he played in the SEC at corner. He went up.
He has the measurables.
Yeah.
The first thing that I look at when I think of DBs is how tall are you? Yeah, I want to see what you would go up against or how you would match up against a guy like AJ Brown, knowing that AJ Brown is this tall menace that is going to be in a really a thorn in the side for years to come. I like this pick a lot. You got to get better on defense. And while they didn't go edge rusher, they didn't go anyone on the defensive line yet. I think they like what they've done with free agency. I still would anticipate them to make a move to add more defensive line depth. But the defensive line's job is a lot easier when you have guys in the back end that you can trust. So Trey Amos is a guy that can sit maybe for a couple of weeks and learn behind like a Jonathan Jones and a Marshawn Lattimore and then, phase his way in kind of in a similar way to what Mikey Sanders still did. Like it's not like Mikey was this world beater right out of the gate in week one, but he learned, he got accustomed to the defense. And then when his number was called, when he got to see the field, he started making plays. If Trey Amos can do something similar, you now have Mikey Sanders and Trey Amos alongside Quan Martin for years to come on the back end of that defense. I love the way that they're building this core, Lynnell. Like I'm excited to hear more about Trey Amos in person.
Yeah.
We don't know much about that. Most times, honestly, when you're watching Ole Miss, you're thinking about like Lane Kiffin and the offense and your boy Jackson Dart or Trey Harris, whoever it is. But I love the Trey Amos pick. I love going defense. Thank God they went defense.
And you called it saying like and I think I agree with you too, like the amount of defensive backs that were there between safety and corner. I think it made sense for them to go corner. taking Trey Amos over Isaiah Thomas. I don't know how I feel about that. I wouldn't like.
Clearly
I like
him.
Revel better. I like Isaiah Thomas better. I think this may have been like too rich for Quincy Riley.
Way too rich. Way too rich. I like Trey Amos. I like Trey Amos in the second round.
I didn't do a lot of work on him.
He's a guy that you're going to be able to hopefully make a couple of plays. And I know Joe Witt Jr. feels what we felt as fans, which we've been feeling this as fans for a long time of this team, is they don't turn the football over. They don't force turnovers enough. Defensively, like Mikey did a really good job at certain points, but like that was kind of it. Now they got some of the playoffs, the Quan Martin pick six, which caused me legitimately to lose jewelry at a bar that we were at. Jeremy Chin had a couple of picks late in the season, but they didn't do a good job of forcing turnovers. So the fact that they got another cornerback that they hope can force turnovers, I think, is going to be huge.
The other thing that's interesting about Amos, he's a cornerback 5 for Dane Brugler, and I'm looking at the Beast right now. He's 23 years old. So he's a fifth-year senior, a guy that's played a lot of ball. I do think that is like
that's something that it feels like they look for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jaden was the same way, played a lot of college football, and the best way to get better at playing football is to play football. There's like that. There really is nothing that is going to make you leap and bound in terms of your production more than actually playing football.
Man, this is interesting in terms of like it's only a 1-year starter. So like that's kind of like transfer from Bama, where he couldn't get on the field because he's behind dog corners like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold.
He had 3 picks last year for Ole Miss.
So he gets his hands on the ball. I think that's the big thing.
He played at 3 different schools. He started at Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. Then he played 1 year at Bama, although you're right, he didn't really get on the field at Bama at all. Only 4 career interceptions, but 3 of them were last year.
Yeah.
There must be something then about the measurables or about the guy himself that they really fell in love with.
So this is my thing that I love because I know it's something that's a requirement for Joe Witt. You know, they always say about our lifestyle ain't for everybody, and I love when he says it. This is according to Dane Brugler. You guys got to look up the Beast, man. It's the best draft guide out there. I'll be real. I think Dane Brugler and my guy Emery Hunt have like the best, most detailed draft evaluation.
Yeah, Emery is fantastic,
beast, bro.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the strengths of Trey Amos. Like I said, I'll be real. I wasn't too familiar with him. Isaiah Thomas was like, and Siobhan Revel were my big corners that I was looking at. One thing that I really like, he says he has plenty to like about his effort against the run. I think that is as important as anything when it comes to playing corner.
Right.
Are you going to be physical? Are you going to be a guy that's going to duck smoke in the alley and cause runs to leak? Or are you going to be somebody that's stout at the point of attack and not let things get outside of you? So I like him for that, for sure. He also says he violently attacks and defeats stalk blocks. Love that. It seems like he's
violently attacks is a very nice thing to have on your draft profile.
100%.
As long as it's related to football.
Quality play strength, doesn't get punked by receivers. Could have been easy to get punked by receivers in the SEC as well. So I like that. Times ball attacks well, doesn't let his length go to waste. I love that. Weaknesses. Here's where we're getting real about it. Not a whole lot of weaknesses here. There's not a whole lot here. He said he was an upright mover with hints of tightness in his turns. Something that where if you're working with your DB's coach, Jason Simmons and William Gay, you can help, technique at that spot. Likes to play physical, but made it way too easy for officials on the 2024 Kentucky tape. I like that I would rather, what's the old Doc Walker adage, man? He used to say, I'd rather have to calm down a fool than revive a corpse. Meaning I would rather have to tell a guy to tail it back a little bit than tell him to go be aggressive. Trey Amos is super aggressive. So.
He's aggressive and he tackles.
Yeah, so I
getting
like
guys to tackle are crucial for building the foundation and the character of what you want to be on defense. They drilled it with Mikey. Mikey gets up there and he tackles. Even to an extent, like there were times where Lattimore maybe didn't, but towards the end of the year, it felt like Lattimore was tackling. You know who wasn't tackling? Michael Davis. He's not here anymore. Benjamin St. Just. He's not here anymore. Emmanuel Ford. He's not here anymore. You have to be able to tackle. So getting a guy that is clearly, as you just read out, not afraid to go tackle, and then you can build him into what you're doing on defense. They have the luxury of not needing him to start week 1. If he does, it's awesome, but you don't need him to start week 1 because you have Jonathan Jones and Marshawn Lattimore.
So I'm glad that you brought that to the table because that's where the conversation gets super interesting. I think this is a big picture statement, directly applies to the cornerback position, though. I think this football team this year is way harder to make. And that's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing.
You've raised the floor of your team. Your cornerback room now consists of Marshawn Lattimore, Noah Igbenogany, Mikey Sainristil, Jonathan Jones, Trey Amos. That's 5 guys right there.
Right.
You're probably only keeping 6. So Kayvon Seymour, or maybe they go another defensive back before we get out of here. This is what's most interesting to me. What does it take for you to kick Mikey inside? What does Trey Amos have to show for you to kick Mikey inside? And also, this is why I'm saying, like, competition. Jonathan Jones and Mikey Sainristil. What if Jonathan Jones is the better player right now?
It's possible.
You move Mikey to.
So I think, generally speaking, I would prefer Mikey inside because I think he wins inside.
And he helps the run defense.
He helps the run defense, and there's not a lot of like if you look at the way that some teams have attacked Washington in the past, they move guys into the slot because that's an advantage.
Yeah.
If you have Mikey in the slot, I don't think there's very many guys that are going to have a distinct advantage because we've literally seen him ball out against AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're maybe getting like if Jamar Chase is in town, and you're not going to see Jamar Chase a lot. Right. So there's not many guys that are better than that. So if he gets kicked inside, I almost think that's a positive because that means someone else is playing so well outside, and then you build a complete defense. So then it comes down to Trey Amos of Washington. If you're just joining us, I see a bunch of new people jumping in here. Interact with us in the chat. You can tweet us as well.
Yes, sir.
At the Denton Day, at NELL_BTP. Washington with 61 overall just selected. Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. If he plays well enough in the preseason, if he plays well enough in camp, to win the position from Jonathan Jones, put him outside, put Mikey on the inside, put Marshawn on the other side. That's a pretty good trio that you're going to have, knowing that all the teams that it's a passing league, right? It's about like Jalen Hurts is going to throw the ball. Jack's going to throw the ball. Jackson, Dart, Russell Wilson, and or Jameis Wilson is going to throw the football.
Jameis Wilson's a good bit.
Or Jameis Winston, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were doing a bit.
No.
Russell Winston. I mean, they're the same thing. So the depth at this position all of a sudden is really intriguing to me because I loved me some Noah Igbenogany last year. I thought he really helped them out.
Me too.
He's
still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't have, for as much as we give Mikey his flowers, that move is not allowed to happen if you're not comfortable with Noah I on the slot. So I think it's fascinating. Like, you got 5 corners that are starters. If you Trey Amos, like, I guess he hasn't proved anything yet. So, like,
but you draft him in the second round to be a guy that eventually you think can start.
Yeah, someone put in the chat. I think Noah was kind of mid.
He was not. He wasn't.
Noah played well.
He wasn't a world beater, but he was not mid.
Yeah, and I like him because he's still only 25 years old.
The PFF numbers on Noah I are pretty good.
Really? Okay.
I use PFF, by the way it was designed to be used, which is when it fits my argument.
Yeah. Right. No bull. But yeah, like all of a sudden, man, like you're cool at corner. Can I say something? I want in the chat, like, please get at me with this too, because I feel like I haven't gotten the chance to say it on air a lot. Because y'all be bullying it, bro. Man, I feel like I can't even give some of my real takes because y'all just want to step on my throat. Will Harris has safety. I don't know. I'm worried about safety, low key. You're a Quan Martin injury away from not having an answer that I trust. If I'm being real now,
yeah, the Percy Butler thing.
Real talk.
He's fine. He's not, but he's
a
not.
Special teamer to me.
He's not a. If he's your signal caller back there, you're in trouble. He's not the deep ball guy.
Yeah, like safety to me, I think we like safety. We need bad.
I'm hoping some of this. Like I say, I hope some of the safety will be around. But we have 60 picks.
I know
before Washington ends up selecting again. So like I love what Adam Peters has done in terms of adding Leonard Tunsil and getting Deebo Samuel and Marshawn Lattimore. But trading those picks does make it a little bit more difficult on a day like today. I'm not saying I would not do any of the moves that they did, but it just makes it a little difficult on days like today and tomorrow when you now have to wait 60 picks until you're on the board again. Now, maybe you make a move and jump back in to the 3rd or 4th round, but you don't exactly have a lot of assets unless you want to start moving stuff from next year.
Right.
Because I don't know that Adam Peters wants to start moving stuff from next year.
Probably not.
Now, I do want to point something out here. Sorry to cut you off.
Mhm.
Travel on Twitter
Yeah.
reached out to us. We got comments. Hit us up.
Yeah.
Travel on Twitter says maybe Amos can play corner and safety. I don't know if Amos can do both of those things, but seeing as we just listed off 5 or 6 corners,
Yeah.
I would hope that one person might at least flirt with the transition if needed. If needed. Not that we want that to happen, but in the event where something goes sideways, there should be one of the guys that might be able to make that transition to where if something does happen to, say, a Quan Martin, or if Will Harris doesn't end up being a guy that they hoped he would end up being, he doesn't kind of play the Jeremy Chin role the way that you hoped, someone can fill in if needed. The question is,
You know who I think it would be?
I think you know why.
I think it'd be Mikey.
You think it'd be Mikey? Mikey hits.
That's why I was saying, like, he's gonna be physical. He can cover.
He's fast. He can.
You know what I'm saying?
The thing about Quan is the Quan plays kind of like this, not Ed Reed style, but like that.
I know what you
center
mean.
field,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas
That's interesting, though, Trav. I think if somebody's moving, I think Mikey has the best traits to go to safety. Smartest guy to me.
That's a luxury to have, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I think you got to find a way to get Jonathan
What is
Jones
the
on
word
the
that what is the phrase I want to use without using the phrase that I don't want to use?
Oh,
I do not want to use the PF.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to use that phrase because that gives me Vietnam flashbacks to Ron Rivera. But the ability to have guys that can play different positions on the back end, I think, is crucial.
For
So
sure.
while it may not be Trey Amos, I'll tell you what, like having a 6'2" dude back there kind of playing free safety does give me a little bit of like Kyle Hamilton vibes. I mean, Hamilton obviously is a much more natural
Yeah.
safety, but you get the idea. Like having that dude back there would be crucial. I definitely think somebody could make that switch if they decide to go that direction, though. I like the Trey Amos pick. I really do.
I do too.
I think going defense there was crucial. Let us know your thoughts. Do you like the Trey Amos pick at 61 overall? The cornerback out of Ole Miss. That's Washington's first defensive pick. They obviously went with Josh Connerly yesterday, the offensive tackle to bolster up the offensive lines. They're making a defensive pick today, and now unfortunately we wait not 24 hours. But
There's
we
the
wait
thing.
18 hours until they pick again.
What were we saying in the picks leading up? I think they love these. They like the next tier of edges. I think they like that next tier of edge. I don't
They
think
do.
Landon is going to be there in round 5.
No, they didn't
Around
love
4.
Landon Jackson the way that most of us did on social media. Clearly, or they would have taken him. Either
He
that or
tested
they really
well.
loved Trey Amos
Was Trey Amos top 30 guy?
in terms of like big board stuff.
Did he come in on a 30 visit to Washington?
I don't know if I saw that full list.
I think Hogshaven may have it.
So
come
maybe I need
in
to.
top 30 visits. Every time you Google it, that Top Golf thing. Real quick, one of the guys I was talking about is one of my favorites. Omar Norman Lott went to Kansas City, bro. Him and Chris Jones is about to be nasty.
Yeah, I just saw that one pop up there on the television. Shamar Turner went right after Trey Amos, by the way,
Okay.
to Chirac, Chicago,
Okay.
the defensive tackle out of Texas A&M.
So it's an edge that Washington met with Ashton, I don't know how to say it,
Gillette.
from Louisville. He's projected as like more of a day 3 guy. Let me go to Ashton Gillette's profile. Dane Brugler, man, and our guy Emery Hunt. I'll make sure if y'all looking to spend some change on something, well, Dane's joint is free unless you're not free because you got to subscribe to the Athletic. But Emery, you got to pay something, I think, to get it, or maybe
It's not a crazy price. I don't
yeah,
think.
but it's just really good information on some of these guys. Where's Ashton Gillette at? Oh,
He might be listed as like a linebacker.
they got him at 103 on ESPN. So Washington picks win 128.
128. Damn. It's so far. Now that
Yeah.
could end up being fine, but it's 67 picks.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's such a long time. It's a full 2 rounds almost before they pick again.
Yeah, Gillette, if you love Kuiper, Gillette is one of Mel Kiper's sleepers. I keep talking about David Walker, man. This edge from there's a couple of edges, I think. That's kind of where I want to shift to. And there's so much to talk about. We'll get into more of it tomorrow, too, because I think maybe somebody moves to safety, because I still do think safety is a whole. I don't know if Will Harris is going to come in and give you what you need. I want to give him time to prove himself, though, so I ain't trying to jump the gun here. But look at that edge, because that's what they passed on here. I would say that going in, I would think edge was a bigger need than corner. They obviously go with corner. Some of the guys that are going to be available late at edge that I really, really, really like that are low key some sleepers here. Q Robinson from Alabama, kind of smaller, more of like a pass rusher, but he's physical in the way he plays. He plays defensive end at Alabama. You should know that he's as tough as nails. 6'4", 243. David Walker, who I've mentioned all show long. Y'all probably think I work for him or I know him or something. No, I don't. I just like him. He's like a James Harrison clone. The production's crazy. To have 31 sacks in 3 years, 63 TFLs in 3 years, albeit at Central Arkansas, that's just good numbers that I like. And then he's 6'1", 265. Stout at the point of attack. He doesn't have the traditional edge body, which is the only reason I think he's not viewed higher. Because I'm like, the way he plays, bro, and like I'll tell you who put me on to him. Logan Paulson put me on to him. And I was like, okay, we'll go watch this guy. Because you follow it way more than I do in terms of college. Like I don't really pay attention to it till draft season. Some dudes just jump out at you, Darius Alexander. But you know what I'm saying? It's just interesting. So the Giants are back on the clock here to start round 3.
So we're officially in round 3. Washington, as of right now, does not have a pick in round number 3. Their next selection in 28, which is the 4th round, which if you do math, that's going to be a long time. Lynnell mentioned this. We got a lot of coverage tomorrow. 80 Watt starts at 9 on 106.7 The Fan of the Team, 988 Watt Radio from 9 a.m. to 12. And then you get Lynnell and myself from 12 to 3:35 before we then get some Nationals baseball to take on the New York Mets. So we'll have a lot of coverage on the NFL draft. We'll be able to take some of your phone calls. We can't do phone calls now. This is exclusive to video. We're excited to be doing this.
Get in the chat. W's in the chat.
Give us the dubs in the chat. We'll eat some dubs for Jameis Winston. But this is the first fully digital exclusive thing that we've done. So we're glad that everyone's been hanging out with us. I mean, we're approaching nearly 3,000 people watching us. So we're hanging out, having a good time. Reacting to Trey Amos being the draft pick for Washington at number 61 overall. They got Connerly, they got Trey Amos, and then they're hoping to get somebody good in the 4th round. But you just had read off the Amos scouting report, if you will, and it was all things that were very, very positive. I like what they have done for now. I still would like more. I would still like an edge in some capacity tomorrow. I don't, by the way, I'm sure someone's going to ask this in the chat, so I'll answer this now. Yeah. I do not believe they're going to trade back into the 3rd round.
It just doesn't make sense. They will have to give up too much. Unless it's the back half.
They don't really
what if they move off of their 4th round pick tomorrow for a 3rd round pick?
They'd have to give up something else though too.
Just to get a little closer is what I'm saying.
Right. I get what you're saying. It'd be just our luck. We get home, get into bed, get the notification Adam Peters trades back. You're like, oh, damn it. They would have to give up something from next year, I think, too. And I don't know how comfortable I would be giving up some stuff next year.
Because you already feel like you've given up plenty
to get Deebo Samuel, to get Laramie Tunsil, to get Marshawn Lattimore.
Damn, man.
There are a lot of people that are tweeting at me. You can tweet at us at the Denton Day at NELL_BTP saying, like, I don't think Trey Amos was going to be around at 61. I didn't either. I thought he was going to be gone by like
I'll admit, I was a little late to the Trey Amos party. I was not paying too much attention to
it. There's a lot of guys that I did not think was like Darius Alexander in there. That like Mike Green.
Siobhan Revel, I didn't think was going to make it out the 2nd round.
Siobhan Revel, so we're not listening to the broadcast, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
I don't know how much they're mentioning Siobhan Revel. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I'm like watching that and being like, all right, I don't think he's going to drop 60 picks. But that then goes back to your thing. Like, if he's available late in the 3rd round, you at least kick the idea around if you love him. So you don't have to move somebody to safety out of those cornerbacks. But so let me ask you this. Would you feel comfortable if they use their first 3 picks, right? Offensive tackle, DB, or cornerback, Trey Amos that they just picked.
And then safety.
Yes,
at this point, I'm saying it here now. I'm going to tweet it out, too. I'm doing my bit. Whenever you're around, I talk my tweets out. Right now, safety to me is a bigger hole than defensive end.
Well, you're not going to drop. Son of a bitch. Darius Alexander goes to the Giants. God almighty.
Damn, their front four is
Dexter Lawrence,
Damn.
Darius Alexander, Brian Burns, and/or Kayvon Thibodeau. And then the guy they drafted third overall, Abdul Carter, who is far and away the best defensive end in the class. Thank God Washington drafted Josh Connolly, for Christ's sake. You got to go against that defensive line twice. You got to go against Michael Parsons twice. You got to go against the entire Philadelphia Eagles twice. Oh, that sucks. I don't know but that sucks.
Yeah, like that's damn. What was I doing before that happened?
You're talking about safety.
Oh yeah, my tweet talk. I think safety right now is a bigger need than defensive end. I would love to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I disagree. I think defensive end is a massive hole. I need someone that can stop the run. I put this out. So, like, there's been this back and forth on social media.
The more I think about it,
that fans look, the way the conference championship ended, the turnovers emasculated Washington. They could not do anything because they kept turning the football over.
Yeah.
With that said, they did not do a great job of stopping Philadelphia, even when they didn't turn the football over. Saquon Barkley had 7 touchdowns and 400-plus yards in 3 games.
Yeah.
And you want to see Saquon Barkley 3 times because you know you have to go through Philadelphia in the NFC. You add the Bijan Robinson number, like they could not stop the run. So I need a guy. I am desperate for a guy. I am pleading for a guy that can eventually end up stopping the run. Your boy Aston Gillette, I think, is off the board now too. He went to Kansas City. So all the edges.
Kansas City got Norman Lott, Ashton Gillette.
They saw what Philadelphia,
Chris Jones. Kansas City's eating right now.
They saw what Philadelphia looked like, and they said, "We need to do that.
Damn,
we need to look a lot more like that."
Teams are having some good drafts, but Gillette's like a solid starter, though.
That talk you off the edge safety thing?
Not really. Like
they're still on the fence.
On YouTube too, saying I'm with D-Day. DN is a bigger need than safety. I wouldn't say I'm willing to put it over defensive end. I think it's as big of a need though at this point. Like I look at it in the same light because if you're an injury away, think about if Quan Martin, God forbid, walks out and turns his ankle or tears his Achilles doing something freaky or something weird.
Yeah, like pizza.
And what would you have at safety?
Prayer.
Like that's it. Seriously, like so. I look at safety as like.
Yeah, I'm curious. I should probably pull this up. Let me.
Not sure what you'll get from Will Harris.
So I want to pull up the list of free agents because I do believe that there are going to be some later free agency additions. Maybe as we get closer to camp, some guys that are a little bit older that now want to come play. So who is still available?
Does Washington, Justin Simmons is still out there.
Yeah, but say I knew like Justin Simmons. Why am I looking at the sign? I want the available. Marcus Williams is out there. Justin Simmons is out there. Jordan Whitehead is out there. Jordan Whitehead's 28. Marcus Williams is 28. Justin Simmons is a little bit older. He's 31. Quandre Diggs is 32. He might be a little too old. Chuck Clark is 30. Jordan Porter is old. He's 34. So they're options. They're not great options. That's why they're still in the free agency market, but they're at the very least options to where if something like that did happen or if they don't love a guy at safety and round number 4 or 6 or 7.
I'll say this will piss people off. They need a safety more than they need a damn running back. I know that's what everyone's geeked up about running back. Like they need a safety more than they need a back at this point.
I would agree with that, but I do think there's a better chance they draft a running back.
I don't know.
Although again, you only have 3 more picks. You have 3 more picks in this NFL draft. If you're just joining us, they just picked Trey Amos at 61 overall. Washington did. So they drafted Josh Connolly. They drafted Trey Amos. They got picked 128, which is in the 4th round. That's about 60 from now. They got picked 205, which is in the 6th round. That's about 140 from where we are currently sitting at now. And then they got picked 245, which is in the 7th round. So no 3rd round pick, no 5th round pick.
Is this him? Is this him? I'm calling a shot.
Does Shedeur Sanders come off the board?
Vegas is right after him. This is ridiculous. The more and more we get sucked into the Washington stuff, I remember about my boy Shedeur. What do you say though, man? Presidential really perfect timing. Maybe wherever he goes, perfect timing. Bro, I was joning on him so hard. Did you see he did like a performance last night, a concert?
Last night?
Your face is crazy. The face you made is wild.
Wait, last night, after he tweeted, "I'm ready for anything to happen today," and then literally nothing happened. like literally nothing happened. He then gave this. I'm not gonna judge the speech. The speech was fine. It was the speech.
I didn't even hear it, so I'm not here.
And then he performed a concert.
Yeah, he had a little mini concert at his draft party. That probably would piss the GM off. Your ass can't throw the right. You can't throw the right.
He plays a little bit. My biggest issue with Shedeur is it felt like that whole Colorado thing was meant to make him look good. I didn't know about the concert. Did you find it weird that Gilio Big Cat was just always around? It felt like he knew when the camera was on Dion and he wanted to stand next to Dion.
Gilly, my man. I might as well get. They went Harold Fannin. Ooh. And Njoku and Fannin, 12 personnel.
Harold Fannin might have been one of the best tight ends.
Yes.
I mean, he was legitimately.
He's a wide receiver.
He ate up Penn State's defense in the early portion of the season.
He's from Canton, Ohio, too.
That's crazy. That Bowling Green game where they were beating Penn State early when Penn State was like this supposed juggernaut and Harold Fannin Jr. was just decimating them was fun to watch. I did not know that Shedeur Sanders performed a concert. How many songs? I thought he only had one song. The current edge rushers, the class is getting hit a little bit because a lot of guys just got drafted. Jordan Birch is available. Landon Jackson available. Josiah Stewart, Braden Swinson. But again, Washington isn't picking for another 60 picks. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those guys are not going to be around by the time that they are on the board again. And I'm not anticipating, I've said this already, I'm not anticipating that Washington is going to trade back into the third.
So AP's at the podium now. He just said they're done. He referenced what you said yesterday. We got to find out if Amos was a top 30. You said when we was on with Kevin, and I was going to mark this down too, the three guys that he said they loved on their 30s. One of them was
Connerly.
Yeah, and he said that Amos was their pick, like their desired guy going into today.
So
no,
I do not.
Right?
I don't. He doesn't have any reason to. Okay. I don't think that.
I like the pick. I like the position.
Remember, people kind of criticized him for doing this about Jaden last year when he said Jaden was our top quarterback, and they're like, "What about Caleb Williams?" And we saw, no, Jaden was the top quarterback. There's not really a reason to lie. You've already drafted a guy.
Right.
Like you are already boosting the ego up by saying we want you to play for our team. So no, I don't believe that he's lying when he says that. That does though bring up an interesting point because my assumption was, and I thought Kevin had this assumption as well, when he mentioned three guys, I had assumed that was three guys yesterday, which he did not say that.
So look, he just said Amos was in play yesterday at 29.
Wow.
So they really like him.
So if that's the case, which by the way, God bless Adam Peters.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has a plan.
Yes.
He has a plan and he's executing the plan. If that's the case, this draft, they're crushing it.
Yeah, they got everybody they wanted.
It's very similar to what it was last year because if you remember, Mikey, it felt like, was in that same boat. There was not a lot of conversation surrounding Mikey leading up to the draft. He wasn't going to be a top round pick. He was small, but they loved Mikey Sanders still, and they were waiting for him to fall. Remember, Adam Peters played that joke on Dan Quinn when I think it was Chris Jenkins was drafted, or not, maybe it wasn't Chris Jenkins, but it was a Michigan guy that was
I think it was
right in front of him to Cincinnati. And then Adam Peters looked at Dan Quinn. He's like, they took the Michigan guy, and Dan Quinn, you can see him. He's like, shit.
Right.
And then he's like, the defensive tackle. He's like, oh, and then they draft Mikey.
Yeah, they're in a good spot, man. I like that they just are being disciplined and sticking with their board. That's the cool part. It just makes me, this is always like humbling, right? We spend time, because we're nerds with this stuff, doing our own research and all that. You couldn't have told me that Trey Amos is better than Azariah Thomas. I love me some Azariah Thomas, especially to go down to Mobile at the Senior Bowl And think about why Kyle Williams rose. Think about why Jalen Royals rose. Think about why Jaden Higgins rose. Jack Beck, because of how they performed at the Senior Bowl. Azariah Thomas went down to the Senior Bowl and went off. Patriots got Kyle Williams. I'm telling you, dog.
I love Kyle Williams.
Him and Travion.
Yeah, they're building. They're building guys for Drake May to throw the football.
Yeah, I love it. So Washington does go defense. Okay, I'm standing on business on what I said, man. I still safety would be my next pick, depending on who's there. Do you try to get into? He said they're done for the night, though. But
He said they're done for the night.
how can you just say that without, because you don't know what type of offer you may get.
What he is effectively saying, at least this is the way that I'm taking it. This class ain't that great.
Okay.
The class is
no one's
not
worth giving up extra capital to
the
go.
class is not good enough to then go give up extra picks.
I hear
Which
that.
also, if that is so, first of all, if that ends up being true, right? If this ends up being a draft class that just does not have a lot of guys, and we look back at this in a couple of years and be like, you know what, this was right. They didn't need to go and get such and such.
Right.
This dude is a diabolical genius. The way that he is then using picks that he maybe didn't want to use in this draft to then go get guys like Debo and Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore beforehand. Now, I don't think that Marshawn Lattimore might be getting a little over the skis, but I do believe that Adam Peters had started to look into this year's draft at around the trade deadline. Like I think that's part of what his job is. Like get to the trade deadline, figure it out, and then really dive into the NFL draft. That's when that college players are really in the meat of their schedule as well. So you're getting really good tape on a lot of guys. So I really do believe that he started deep diving into the draft around that time of the trade deadline. So think of around like the New Orleans game for Washington. I think him saying that they're done for the night is effectively saying that there's not a lot of guys that we feel comfortable giving up assets for.
Yeah.
Or that they feel like the depth is going to be so good that they'll be able to get good players. Maybe I took a more cynical approach and taking a more positive approach.
I dig it, though.
Going to be a good player 60 picks from now. Although I guess now I got to stop saying 60. 58 from now. So on pick number 70. But there's going to be good players.
Who's Detroit get? Because I'm like what would you prefer to be the next? I guess the board obviously dictates it. Is there a position right now though that you're looking at and saying, "Yeah, I need it"? Would that be edge for you? Probably, I guess
that would be edge.
Something's in my eye.
So, like, if Jack Sawyer is available tomorrow in the fourth round,
think he got that far?
Is
Washington's fourth round their own, or is it somebody else's? Are they picking like 4 picks from the bottom?
So that 128 pick,
or is that from Houston?
It's like right in the middle of the fourth round. It's more towards the bottom. It's the 26th pick in that round. So you're right. As I say that out loud, the potential of him being there is probably slim.
I mean, you never know how it goes. It's all about preference. Dude, Detroit just took a no-name receiver I've never heard of. You know this guy?
Isaac Tesla. I do not. I'm off
6'4", 214, ran 4.43. No production, though.
No production.
Who's his quarterback, though?
Yeah, it wasn't KJ Jefferson because KJ Jefferson left to go to UCF this year at Arkansas.
But damn, though. Safety's interesting for me, bro. Like that's the spot right now where I'm kind of like tweaking out about. I don't want to say tweaking. That's
Adam Peters clearly loves what they have done on the defensive line.
Yeah,
and I
was saying. Like, I feel like they're higher on their D line situation internally than we are on the outside. Like I felt that way for the past like couple of weeks now, which is why I started thinking about other positions. Which is why I brought up tackle last night. I didn't think they was going to go Connolly, though. I do admit that. But
I'd heard about Connolly prior, and I looked at him a little bit, and I was like, yeah, it could be. I just didn't, once they drafted Tunsil, I was like completely off the scent of tackle. I see what they're doing. Like I see the vision, so I get it now because you're protecting Jay Daniels. I would do anything.
You don't want Brandon Coleman at right tackle. I think that's the biggest thing. Like,
no, I think Coleman's a great guard.
Yeah,
if you're 2 guards for the foreseeable future of Brandon Coleman and Sam Cosmi, that's a pretty good combo to have.
Yeah,
and Laramie Tunsil on the left side, assuming his head doesn't go too far up his own rear end. like it has seemed to in both Miami and Houston, I think that'd be a really good offensive line for years to come. I'm hoping that like Laramie Tunsil just falls in love with the culture in DC and it motivates him. And he realizes that he's already made millions and millions of dollars and he doesn't need to just start playing for the check.
This is tough. Because I don't know, like, there's a realistic possibility they walk out of the draft without taking an edge.
Yeah, it is very realistic. At this point,
I would still use wide receiver.
I'd almost think that they're going to do that.
Not take one?
You have 3
That means they just don't like the class.
It means they don't love the class, but it also means that, again, they love what they've done in free agency, but they also love other things. Because I think a running back is still in play, a safety is still in play, a wide receiver is still potentially in play.
Oh, very much.
And at this point, also, like, you're so deep in the draft, I think the way that Adam Peters seemed to draft last year, when you get to like the 5th round, 6th round,
you better not Jake Moody-us, bro.
Not Jake, but you're looking for guys that are going to play teams too.
Right, that's true.
Right, they love the versatility. It feels like guys that can play teams. Because even to an extent, like I don't think he did it a lot, but I think Javonte Jean-Baptiste might have gotten a couple snaps on teams.
Jordan McGee was a big team.
Yeah,
Jordan Percy's team guy.
Chris Rodriguez. Outside of that one game against Dallas, their teams were really good. Like Nick Ballore, I thought really, really good.
Did you
That's
keep I think DQ, you got to watch his interview, bro. I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
He talked about this in the interview. They were like, when the rules came out, they were like specific about like, there's a play style they want to embody. They ended up defending the most kickoff returns in the NFL last year because that was their mantra. They wanted to set the tone by going down and running down and hitting. So like,
it all makes sense.
Missile. Him and Revo and Sheen and Jeremy McNichols whacked somebody before.
Like I kind of figured that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
In terms of, I didn't know how it was going to look, but remember that like the kickoff was such a massive talking point last year, and Dan said something. I forget what it was, but like somebody had asked Sean Payton, and Sean Payton said one thing, and Dan made a comment prior to seeing the kickoff in action that was like the complete opposite of what Sean Payton had said, and most people kind of like. Not pointed and laughed at Dan Quinn, but they were like, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I was like, no. Because what Dan Quinn had said was that they were going to something about creating space. Whereas I think Sean Payton was the opposite. He was like, this is stupid. I don't like it. But I was like, no, Dan Quinn's on the innovative side of this.
You know what he's doing, yeah.
And it's great Washington being on the innovative side. They've done a really good job of that recently with the kickoff thing, with the VR for Jane Daniels thing.
Yeah.
Short Sanders is get drafted.
No, but Azariah Thomas went to the Jets.
Him and Sauce Gardner is a nice combo.
Yeah.
Dog, is your boy?
Because the Saints took Shuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's not here.
I think the Browns think they're getting Kirk Cousins.
What the hell is Pittsburgh doing?
I don't even. They think.
What is Pittsburgh doing?
They think they're getting Rodgers. Because Minnesota's going to rock it with J.J. McCarthy.
I think that's risky to me, bro.
I think it's bad.
I've been talking every time I do a national show. That's one of my favorite little takes to give. Is like, imagine looking your veteran team in the eye that won 14 games last year and going, "Yeah, we were trying to capitalize on that and move forward." And you roll out J.J. McCarthy.
And here's J.J. McCarthy taking snaps under center.
And if Rodgers, you think Rodgers was lying about his price tag?
What's his price tag? What did he say?
$10 million. He was like, "I would play for $10 million."
He was lying.
So yeah.
No, Aaron Rodgers wants attention.
Because that's what I was. I was like, if Minnesota only had to pay him $10 million,
Aaron Rodgers, he did
signed me.
If that was the case, he would have already signed.
Because teams
doing this bid where he's drawing things out so he can be the center of attention. Like he got on Pat McAfee and what?
You hate Aaron Rodgers.
I do hate Aaron Rodgers. I hate Aaron Rodgers, the person. I like the football player.
Yeah.
I don't say this often, and I promise he's probably the only person I will ever say something like this about. I wish he would shut up and just throw the football. Aaron Rodgers has turned me into a shut up and dribble person.
Yeah, that's
just
really
stop talking and go play. He's not interested.
Yeah,
like all the takes that he has are not like I get it. You watch Joe Rogan.
Yeah, right. He's like having his mid-20s crisis at 39.
I was like, you're doing ayahuasca, sick, bro. I don't care.
Yeah.
You're upset that someone handled a cutting of you face to face, you would have bitched if they called you on the phone.
Exactly.
That was like they could have sent me an email. You would have lit their ass on fire if they did it. Thank God. Do you know how nice it is that we don't have to deal with this with our quarterback? Like Jaden is like, he's excellent. He went. I watched him with John Gruden. He went on like a John Gruden Barstool.
I haven't
thing.
watched that yet. Yeah.
It was good. There was some like weird like plug in the middle of it, and I was like,
Jaden only does interviews if it's sponsoring one of his brands.
There's some sort of sponsor in there, and I have to admit, I don't think Gruden's the best interview guy in the world.
Hey man,
he didn't even like really open the interview. He just got right into it. I was like, can we get like some
Jaden freaking Daniels, man? Landon Jackson,
Buffalo.
Bills have had a good draft. They went 3 defensive players.
Yeah.
Who was their D tackle they drafted? I know they went Maxwell Harrison.
They went Harrison. They went one of the guys that you liked.
Was it Norman Lott? No, Norman Lott's in Tennessee. I mean, in Kansas City.
It was TJ Sanders.
TJ Sanders.
And then Landon Jackson. I'm still haven't gotten a wide receiver, but they're basically saying we are not letting Mahomes beat us.
No, straight up. I ain't mad at it.
Like Travis Gold will find somebody that can go.
Dude, Kansas City's had a good draft, bro. Orlando's about to beat Boston. By the way, I just took a breather to talk about something else. Logan Thompson got carried off the ice. Couldn't put any pressure on his leg.
Yeah, that game. It's 5-3 Montreal. That game's not going well.
This is game 3, right?
This is game 3. So Washington's going to fall 2-1. I mean, barring a 3-goal comeback in the.
Well, know how they scored a puck.
Yeah,
it ain't over till the fat lady makes noises.
The fat lady makes some noises.
Does Landon Jackson have alopecia, or he just wanted to rock the bald look?
I think he has alopecia. I probably should know that. He definitely has alopecia. That's one of you can't ask a guy that. You just gotta. It has to be like obvious.
I thought you can only ask him if you're a fellow alopecian.
I feel like if you're a fellow alopecian, though, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Is alopecia a word, or are we just?
I just made it up and put it. Does he have eyebrows? We're gonna stop talking about it. Actually, I was gonna ask, does he have eyebrows? I don't know. But
I had a PE teacher with that, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought he's bald. And then someone asked him, he's like, "Yeah, me and Charlie Villanueva are twins," and I was like, "Oh."
He's another guy that's randomly on a podcast now. Charlie Villanueva was a savage. Azariah Thomas to the Jets is interesting. Washington went with Trey Amos over Azariah. I'll be real, like of my big corners, Trey Amos was not my favorite. And this doesn't mean that you all need to call in the shows and say that I'm hating on the pick. That's not at all what this is. I just do
the
work.
Pick sucks. Adam Peters sucks because Lynnell didn't like him.
Yeah, the hell with him. But no, like I would have preferred Azariah Thomas to Trey Amos is all I would say. I would have preferred Siobhan Rebel to Trey Amos.
Something's going on with Siobhan Rebel. There's like an injury thing there. Because
his surgeon wrote a letter to all the teams saying like I'm going to fully clear him by the first day of camp, which is when you really need to be ready. Meaning he'll probably miss that first week.
Crazy thing for a surgeon to write a letter. That was a little wonky.
Well, I hope he typed it because doctors' handwritings are bad. If he had to write that many words,
that's a lot of words.
That looks terrible.
You better have a nice letterhead. You don't think that he maybe texted it to Siobhan Rebel, then he screenshotted the text like old Shannon Sharp to then send everywhere?
At this point, I mean,
we're not regulated by the FCC. I don't know if you want to go down that road in the final.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dumbass. I'll be honest with you. The hell you messing with OnlyFans?
Stay away from the OnlyFans.
Sharp. You messing with a 20-year-old OnlyFans gunk?
Stay away from the OnlyFans.
No good. And then once Tony Busby's on your ass, you're cooked.
I mean,
his hit rate is
that dude is
out of this world.
He is rich for a reason.
Yeah.
He has a target audience, that's for sure. Or he has a target population.
So I said that to somebody, and then they brought up because that was the first thing our community was saying. He sure got a target audience.
I was like, wait a second, is he involved in the Justin Tucker thing? I don't know,
bro. So that's what it was. Was it the Commanders kicker he went after?
McManus.
Yeah, that was a Busby thing too. And then he went after Matt Ariza.
I was seeing them matter. That was before the Deshaun Watson thing, so I don't know who Tony Busby was at the time.
He's the most
Tony Busby. I found out
who
he was because of the Deshaun Watson thing. And I was like, why do I care about this lawyer?
Because Yates has Siobhan Rebel as his best DB on the board.
Field Yates is growing out the lettuce a little bit.
I didn't realize Phil Yates is freaking 28 years old.
I did not. That hurts my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, it was humbling to me too.
Is he really that? I feel like he's been on TV.
He worked for teams.
He's 38.
38?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going to say this dude's been on TV for like 10 years.
I heard it wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be weird, yeah.
That would be, like if he was 28, holy smokes.
Yeah. I said, what the hell are we doing?
I'm about to say, like, drafts,
you
you got to pay me a little bit more, man. Like, we got 3,000 people here, you know what I mean? Like, you got to hook up a little bit here.
This has been cool, though, man.
This has been great. We appreciate everybody hanging and rocking with us. So, Lynnell and I are going to be back tomorrow. We got great coverage continuing. Adam Peters says they are done for the day. I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to go eat some ice cream and go home because I want some ice cream. But Lynnell and I are back tomorrow, 12 to 3:35. We're going to be taking phone calls. What we've done today has been fun. This is only digital exclusive. We're going to be on radio tomorrow. We might also still be on YouTube just because I think all of our shows should be on YouTube. Adam Epstein, A1 Radio is going to be on from 9 to 12 as well. So he'll get you kicked off with the coverage here on 106.7 The Fan of the Team 980. Lynnell and I will follow that. We're going to get National Baseball tomorrow. Lynnell wraps up all of the NFL draft on Sunday. What are you? 12?
We're not 10 close. Yeah, 10 to 1.
10 to 1 on Sunday. So he'll have you grades, all that sort of stuff for the Commanders. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We had a lot of really good questions over the course of 3 hours. Shout out to Kevin Sheen for hopping on with us. I don't know about Lynnell, but I'm going to go get some ice cream and I'm going to celebrate the trade.
Ready to go. Chris Day, you keep calling. Christopher Day, he keeps calling.
We ain't on radio. We ain't on radio.
This is awesome.
We out of here. Hit us up on Twitter at the Denton Day at NELL_BTP. We'll see you tomorrow on radio.
See you later. Look at us.